Iko Nini.
Iko Nini.
Episode 531 tukisema like, subscribe, hit the notification button, tell a friend to tell a friend, sindio?
Yeah.
Na a lot imekuwa ikihappen kwa the political scene hapa Kenya, so ilibidi jo tubaki tumetafuta senator Gloria Orwoba. Round 2 tubaki tumemuuliza like a few of the things that have been happening. Alafu kuna shindwa kwa nini mtiki leo tuko very colorful.
Why?
Amevaa yellow, mimi nimevaa pink cause nisikia real men don't wear pink.
Which men wear pink?
Apparently ukivaa pink inamaanisha wewe ni mtu wa upinde wa mvua. Unajua upinde wa mvua?
Ebu fafanua.
Rainbow. Inaitwa upinde wa mvua.
Okay.
So inamaanisha ukivaa pink apparently you're not a real man. Ilikuwa courtesy of Robert Burale. Burale amekuwa ki-trend this week. Ame-trend sana over the weekend. Sijuko ulifuatilia story ya Burale?
Nilifuatilia. First on that issue for pink,
Yeah.
me I think only homophobic people or gay people would think that way. Yeah, because pink is just like any other color.
Yeah,
there are pink shirts. Pink, I mean, come on guys, it's not about... Hii kwanza ni ile bias ya ati ukipata mtu idem, unanunua vitu za pink, na nini. So ukipata mtu ichali, huwezi nunua vitu za pink. And only people who are afraid of certain things, ndio watakuja na hiyo story ati real men don't wear pink.
Yeah. So nilisikia hivyo alikuwa anasema like you find a man with a pink boxer. Umevaa pink kwa nini?
Hata why call guys at night?
Really?
Apparently there's some specific hours if I like check on your
you're labda na deal na mashadow zake. You know, sometimes like you're in the shadows fighting things that you think people they're guilty. Maybe.
Ushai nini? Ushai meet Burale?
By the way, come to think of it, I think nili meet Karen Club. I wasn't sure it was him. Juzi tu, recent tu.
Okay.
In fact, when hizi vitu za Senate wakiswear in huyu mwenye ameenda kukalia kiti yangu illegally. I think I met Burale in Karen Club. I was in Karen Club. Yeah. No. But as in simjui one-on-one.
So jaikuwa mbado kusanjua wambaga madem do.
Madem, si wa mama. Mini mu mama.
Ana boundaries.
Plus ya mwenyewe. So ja musemaga dem udepena age ya mtu. So kishafika level fulani, dem bado anaweza kuwa dem. Because age, tunaangalia age. Where now dem becomes more about gender than...
Ati yo wamba madem pesa?
Yeah,
like for real, umeconfirm hiyo kitu?
Yeah, like madem wengi wamesema nini Washera, alisema limwomba do. Rosina, Mwakideu. Ya nini Washera kuona? It was the first time we ever heard about him. Mi sikuwa najua nani, sikuwa najua...
Sijui nimekuwa nikiishi wapi.
Sikuwa najua Burale before nini Washera.
I mean, I know him as a motivational speaker. Yeah.
So we'll talk about...
Like I've seen him in certain spaces, and I think as a motivational speaker, he does well. Yeah.
So we'll talk about that motivational speaker thing. But Yanani, it was the most interesting stuff. So apparently alimwambiaga he imports cars.
Ya nini Washera?
Yes. So now Nini gave him deposit ya 250k. Alipata mwosho moja.
By the way, mi hizi vitu za kupeana deposit sijufanya. Nisiwende tu hapa kwa showroom ununue gari.
I think Nini pia alikuwa anasema alikuwa memnoki.
Unajaribu kusave how much? Ingia tu showroom ubuy gari.
Nini pia alikuwa anasema alikuwa memnoki. So alikuwa memnoki, alafu the fact that I think she was a single mother, so she was ready, alikuwa anasema she was ready to...
You see?
She got knocked off.
You see, wacha nikwambie. You see, most stories, and I like what... this morning as I was getting prepared to leave the house, nili happen kustumble nini ya Obina.
Yes.
Obina amefanya ka response ama kitu.
Yes, a reaction to it, yes.
And I liked what he said. He said, by the way, the public doesn't care about the truth. If the public cared about the truth, they can be able to pick out certain things in a story.
Yes.
So naona nini Washera at least ya amekuja kusema, not only akumpe do ati kwa sababu ni mtu alikuwa na import magari. Kulikuwa na hiyo kitu ya nimenoki mse labda nikimpe do pia vitu zetu zitaingiana. You get what I mean? And I feel like Nini was at least honest. Yes. Most people will come out here with stories about how they were conned, right? I was conned, this and that, nini. Even if you Google Gloria scandal, because someone tried to put him on a scandal, you'll see a story of someone sitting down and saying how I conned them. But in the story, if you listen, did you send Gloria money? Who did you send money?
Yes.
Who was that person to you? At least Nini Washera has said, alikuwa memnoki. Watu wengine hata wakwambiangi yeye alikuwa chali yake, alikuwa analala na yeye. Alafu anakuja anasema I was conned, they pretended to be whatever, but you know there was something else going on. Also for the wife, at least she has come out to say
ex-wife
the ex-wife to say that like hizo ma relationship nyingi story nyingi ukifuatilia na usikize keenly vitu hazisemwi na vitu zinasemwa, that's where the truth is. So for me, first of all, I don't believe in coming out to talk about your past relationships. Full stop. Whether it is your past relationships with your spouse's boyfriends or your past relationships with friends that you thought were friends. Like, you'd never see me addressing that story of apparently someone who we were friends with and then I conned them. And because for me, I just feel like anyone who even waits to come out and talk about that, muulize kwa nini amekuja kutoka.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
siwezi. And you know what? Robert Burale can be all sorts of things, including gay. But I like the way he handled things. Because...
But he's not handled this one. This one just happened this weekend. So we
no,
are
because
yet to see him.
He's not... He could have responded that someone calls you gay and then you think utaka tu kwa nyumba yako huko Malinishi umenyamaza. Hapo angekuwa shafanya video. And knowing who he is and the spaces he holds and how that will affect him, I am happy to see that he has chosen to be a civilized human being. Because being a civilized human being is understanding that those are people you trusted with your spaces, but wamekuja hapa sahii wanajifanya ndo wako na mdomo wanaweza ongea, na sisi tukiongea venye bibi hata huko unaoga kama bibi. We can't come out here to talk about those things.
Okay.
Tulikosana, imeisha, we've gone our separate ways. In fact, I feel like that lady should have spoken more about what she does for a living.
Okay,
her gains, all those things. Atoke aji, this thing of coming out kuchimbia ex wako, ex best friend, I just for me it's like nah.
But the girl said ilimchukua 7 years to heal. And she said the way this thing had broken her. You don't look at her side where if a woman marries a man and she assumes that the man is straight, sindo, then you find out that he might not be. He never touches
But
you. If he never touches you, this means that you start believing you're not beautiful. Nakumbuka ile ngoma ya nini ya Unpretty, kunaitwa Unpretty ile ya TLC.
I'm pretty too.
TLC.
Yes, unacheki like
Look into the mirror.
Yes, you have to look at the mental damage that does. That's number one. Number two, because this thing happens, it's very rare but it happens, where mtu si straight and marry them straight, like 1 year of celibacy, a whole month of celibacy na mnalala kwa whole bed. You don't see how that might be damaging to a girl, and then for the girl to see you go on a podcast. Yes, for the girl to see you go on a podcast and claim tukuwa tunasikizana, tulikuwa nini, it was a good, and then she's like, auko natunaniguza na kama siogi a whole month utalala next to me na siogi.
Like a whole month see issue.
No, but hey, sijasema kwa naoga. What I've said is, if we are going to analyze and get to the bottom of a relationship between two people where none of us were part of,
yes,
we will never get to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
But and I'm saying this having been in a union and having left that union. And I just think, first of all, your story, being with someone and then finding out they're gay. Where has Burale come out and told us he's gay?
He's not.
Yeah, so until he comes out and says he's gay,
out,
this is what I feel. Yeah. I don't think it is in anyone's space to discuss another person's sexuality. Unanielewa? Mimi wacha mimi niongee mimi, whether I am straight, whether I am gay, because mimi kinembe ni yangu. So damn. I am the one who will talk about it. Unanielewa? So I feel like mtu mwenye atatoka pali ametoka from nowhere anze kusema Burale is gay. How? Like what capacity? So I think that's wrong.
Gloria, ukienda kwa hizi podcast ngine uko respectful. Which we love. Of course. Tuna joke.
Unajua maybe ni kwa sababu kuna simu nimetoka kuongea hapo. So okay, let me just try and whitewash my brain. Jambi niko podcast. This is my thing. I don't think it's in anyone's space to out the other one for whatever reason. And it's not just sexuality. You see me, I've come out to talk about what happened to me in parliament in terms of sexual harassment. Then guys are telling me, how come other people are not coming out to speak? Yeah. I'm ready. It doesn't mean everyone else is ready. And it's not just because there's backlash ama watakosa kazi. Sometimes people just don't want to be seen as victims. Okay. Sometimes people also just don't want to discuss anything sexual about themselves. So mimi huyo dem mahali niliwatch kitu alafu nikasema, first interviewer alikuwa kwa history kama in law. This is like expecting justice this is like you are wewe ni mahindi and you are going to court and you're expecting justice when the judges are chicken. They will eat you. You can't. There's even a phrase for it, you know, maize cannot get justice in a chicken's court. So hata interviewer ni in lower dem. The way you see that thing, hata venye alianza na Burali, hata amemuita waongea life things, alafu pa ati by the tell us by the muliko sana na bibia, alafu before you know it there's a follow up of the, I feel like it was set up. But
okay.
For this lady, by the way, her she's taken 7 years. There are people who have never healed from their relationships.
Yes.
She should thank God she has healed from that relationship, whatever was in there. By the way, there are some crazy watu wanaishi town, vitu zinafanyika. But I don't think it's in anyone's, unless wakushikana hivi bibi na ex bwana wakuja wafanye podcast pamoja, wakuja waseme unakumbuka venye hata ukuwa unaoga, mwingine aseme wewe acha wewe hata nini, you know, because then it's like it's the two of them telling their story of their union in public. But you telling your story over there and your side of the story, you know, her side of the story is akwa anashikwa, you know. And who knows, maybe if Burale does, and I hope he doesn't, maybe if he goes ahead to do like a follow-up, maybe he'll come and say that this chick never wanted to sleep with me. And then muta believe nani? I mean akikuja asem no na sisi ukuanga na headaches every day.
Nikwambia kwa nini zijitetea hivyo?
Really? Inaweza kuwa. And then remember they were not married for 10 years. 10 years to
They're married for 1 year.
Bana 1 year unafunga macho ukiamka tuko happy birthday.
1 year, so nakwambia 1 year alafu a few days. Nikwambia unajua hii yako ni kama the classic example of women ham unitigi. Because I think they are skiza umsame kwa kibonga like all this time we've always known one side and the one side has been Burali for the past 13 years.
Huyo ex wake
amekuwa kibonga juu ya marriage, how his marriage broke up and what they were two good people. Then
because all I've heard about him talking about the wife, every time he talks about the marriage, I hear him saying they're two good people, or we were just not ready. He doesn't come out to say negative things about her, the ones I've heard. My issue is not actually, and I don't even think she should have been talking about her anymore.
Yes.
Even that was wrong for me. It's like, why are you talking about someone musha chana? And maybe that's why after 7 years she's like, I'm done with this guy. Anashinda kanifanya mimi nikuwe part of his script. Maybe that's why she came out to talk. Yeah. And you know, everyone does whatever. I just feel like when you break up with someone, just because when you were together, you guys never used to tell us how you used to love each other.
Yes.
Now you've broken up. Why you come to tell us how you've broken up? I mean, it's not politics. Politics tuko pamoja, mnaona venye tunapendana, mnaona venye I go hard for who, blah. And then when we break up, I come and tell you, bana, wale wase, because it's ni siasa. But a union, and it's not just a union of wife, husband. I feel even friendships. Again, that's why I've said, that's why I will never address any friend of mine who maybe we fell off the bandwagon at one point. Hata wakuje waseme nilikuwa devil worshipper. Uwezi nipata nikimrudisha. Okay,
I think ingine tuangalie. So tuseme, let's put Gloria in Rosina's shoes. So you're married to this person, you go for a honeymoon, he does not touch you. You sleep on the same bed, he does not touch you. Then you hear him advising other men that women want to be disrespected in the bedroom. Mpindue kama nyama sijui kwa nini. And you're like, you never pindued me. You don't see how you'd react. You'd react because in hindsight, nilibonga joy story na nasema, I don't think it was a setup. I think it was a provocation. Like this woman has heard you talk so much. Tilaskie, you advising men of how they should treat their women in the bedroom. And she's like, you never touched me. Let me react and say, this guy is full of shit. And that's how she came out and she was
that
like,
probably, I also feel like that was, you're provoking people to come out and now respond to you. I guess that also was a thing. But again, let me just say.
Yeah.
And whatever the intention for that podcast was, whether it is to click for views and whatever, you know, at the end of that podcast, us guys were talking about it here, tutaenda tukule lunch. Then we'll move on. But that family, that Mwakideu family, all those relationships in between, hawataenda wakule lunch. Let me tell you, in fact, mimi ningekuwa hiyo familia yake na Mwakideu, acha nikwambie, hata kama nini nanifanyikia, ni mdomo yangu nimefunga, siwambi. Juu mtaenda tu kufanya kitu hapo nijipate niko kwa podcast. Mimi by the let me tell you, in fact I'm not even introducing any of my boyfriends if at all to them because wataanza kutafuta content. Like there's a line, guys, there's a line where we are like, this is content, this is a show, and then there's family. Just respect your family in
but
whatever
nile
sense.
aujaisikia sema ikutoke so si
Yeah,
alisema
but kusema
ikamtoka
si issue ni unasema wapi. Mimi nani amekwambia siongeangi juu ya maex wangu? Ni ile tu utanipata nikiongea juu ya maex wangu kwa podcast live ati upload hiyo kitu YouTube. Then haiwezi. I don't know, I feel like that if people would just keep their families out of their professional lives, because you see even Burale what he did, alikuwa anajaribu kuboost professional life yake by using the marriage. Ati unajua marriage yangu ningelani hivi. So na the moment sasa unaona sasa kuna gray area juu sasa hatujui tufanyaje, because tena also amejibrandia ni life coach. Sasa unajua we are asking like life coach, tunasikia ulikuwa unaomba pesa. Tunasikia not tunasikia for sure hauna bibi, mlikosana. Sasa hii tunaanza kuambiwa vitu zingine na huyo ex wako. I mean like whose life are you coaching?
Maybe nini hiyo life inaitwa Manchester United. Iko na a few wins enyewe kwanza sini 13 years. The last time Manchester walishinda league ni
2013.
Yeah,
14. Almost
I just think
that.
it was unnecessary, and me, I would continue encouraging people to keep their affairs away from the public.
Okay,
And
okay. Makes
unless
sense.
you have been pulled by the public through a public whatever, something that really probes you to come out and say stop this and this is but yani absolutely no one called you to sit on a podcast to talk about how this guy used to watch gay porn. Alafu boom.
But I think pia uwezi angalia the other side where
And by the way, when she said gay porn, did she mean gay porn a man and a man,
Yeah,
or
man.
a woman? Alisema man and a man.
Yes,
Juu mimi
yes.
nilisikia gay porn.
jinsia moja wanaume.
Yeah, lakini alisema jinsia moja ya wanaume.
Yeah, ni fimbo mbili.
Damn.
Unaangalia
Udem
ngoma.
alisema.
Majuzi nilikuwa
Mimi
naimba hii
nilisikia
ngoma.
tu kitu kama jinsia moja, and then I was like, also gay porn, like I know a lot of guys who like watching, girl on girl porn and whatever. So I mean it could be, but alisema jinsia ya wanaume.
Watu wawili. Hata nikumbuka niliwachio interview alafu nikaanza kuimbia wife ngoma. Wife akawa anajua ni real. Fimbo ya nyayo yatuongoza kwenda wapi. Wife ni myang. Yeah. Nasikia
Hiyo lazima kwa like 21. Sinajua hiyo wimbo.
Kwenda 21 kwa nini? Mimi inaitwa ile cradle sijui what.
Cradle snatcher.
Si, wife.
No, kama hajui fimbo ya nyayo.
Si, yuko hata huyu ajui ngoma.
I don't
Unajua
know
ngoma? And he's
But how old
34.
are you?
34.
Unajua ngoma kweli?
Sijui.
Fimbo ya nyayo
Hajui fimbo ya nyayo.
yatuongoza
Hata
kwenda
historia ya
But other
kubeba
Kanu-
mafimbo si ilianzanga na hiyo
Ya nyayo?
ilipopulariziwa na hiyo ngoma.
Yeah.
Of course I know other Kanu songs, but hiyo just escaped me. Maybe ili hit kwa nini kwa
Anyway, I
rotation ya
wish them well.
Mwafu is super old though.
Mofa, how old are you?
So no maana na relate na hizo
45.
Mofa is like tuko age mates hivi.
Yeah.
Nah.
So nini see but anasahau like back in the days akukwa na FM. So
Yeah,
it was on
Mofa na
KBC.
yes,
by the
yes.
way.
So KBC
Hizo
used to play these songs.
MW.
FM ilitoka 95 96 hapo.
Yes.
So but nini maybe tubongejwa life coaches. I've always been known to be very anti life coaches and anti-motivational speakers because they talk a lot of shit according to mimi. Ushaisikia the famous joke ati I started my chicken farm with a feather. Hizo upumbavu.
I started
Lakini
my
ilikuwa lazima upatie an example ya chicken farm.
Yeah. But hizo ndio hizo ndio vitu watu utoaga. So your views on life coaches waganini? Do you think it's and do people need life coaches? Like,
I think people need mentors. Life coach is a bit of a stretch because I mean, who can really coach you about life? We are all doing life. Unless you've done life till you are 90, then you died, then you came back and you're like, guys, mi unambuliona venye nilifika nikakufa, sawa acha nikuambie pali nilienda wrong, which nobody has done that.
Yes.
So I feel like life coach is like, you can't be an expert in life. You can't. Like as I said, like Robert Burale, I don't know why he would even still continue carrying the title of a life coach if
After
at all
this.
he does. Because, okay, then show me a part of your life that is a good example to someone who has a clean slate to start with. Like, let's talk about work. If people are out here saying you've been calling them left, right, and center from, and it's like a pattern, not one person, we can't even talk about work in a way that if we are looking for a life coach in financial services, financial budgeting your life, we can't even use you because by the time you're constantly asking for money, are you either living beyond your means or what? Social circles. Clearly, people who are coming out here to talk about him especially after this exposure, also shows there's like a problem up on our social circles because it's either, first of all, you're like a butterfly, you're like a people person, so you have too many friends, some who are fake, they're not really, so there's so much about you out there to people who you consider friends who are not necessarily friends. So you're not even good in those social circle things because you're literally fitting in all the boxes, meaning you're pretending to be a person who loves Man U in this time, and when you go here, you're a person who loves Liverpool, like you fit in. You know, when you're a social butterfly, you find you're doing the most to fit in all the spaces. That shouldn't be someone's life coach in social whatever.
Yes.
Then now you go into things like marriage and children. Does he have children?
I think yusema kuna mtoi moja but mtoi sina Rosina because wasa alikuwa anasema ni na Rosina but Rosina alisema they don't have
so
a
the
kid.
fact that hatuna clarity kama kuna mtoi is an issue. Unanielewa?
It's a question
it's
mark,
a question mark. Like why should we think, do you have kids, you don't have kids? Like, so now when you go to family, then of course there's that you are divorced. Me, I have been divorced, by the way. I always tell people, because I have done more than one marriage. I'm actually an expert in marriage. Yeah, because now, you know, you've only done one marriage. Yeah,
for 1 year and a few
done
days.
two very long ones. So I'm an expert. I can tell you.
How long now?
Long. Kuna moja ya 13 years hapo nini. Yeah. So me, I'm an expert in marriage. I mean, I'm more of an expert than Burale. He was married for 12 months.
Yes.
So I always feel like life coach is like seeing a small mini God on earth. I think mentors, we need mentors. For sure, there are people who've gone ahead of you who can tell you, don't use this path, or if you use this path, this is what those are mentors.
In your hizo divorce, was it legal? Like kulifuata this legal proceedings?
Mimi nimeolewa kuolewa ya ukweli, si kamwiste.
How is that process?
Gani?
Like, ukitumia judicial system ya Kenya?
It's a long process.
It's a long process. But also now it depends on who you are married to and who you are living. Because some people can make it very exhausting. That whole process of kuachana. But I feel like Burale as a life coach, okay, what maybe can he coach us? Nini tunaweza sema yenyewe hii umeshikanisha kabisa?
It's how to have a secret life.
Sasa nataka kusema join NIS.
Yes, anaweza tukoach because the funny thing is
I just think he's a good motivational speaker.
You've said it in my exact words.
He's a good performer.
Watch nikisema.
Good performer. That's demeaning him.
Skiza, umeisema in my exact same words in a different way. Because umesema hakuna mtu ashai kufa akarudi. So muisemaga in nini, we are all living for the first time.
Yes.
So and as we live for the first time, we are all going to have very different individual experiences. And as we have these individual experiences, you have to understand that no one has life figured out. So mi shidangu akata na masculinity coaches. Because I feel like masculinity coaches also teach men.
Kuna watu wanajita masculinity coaches.
Yes, ndio.
Hao ndio wamejaa.
Sindio ujaisikia wanasemaga
masculinity coaches.
Sio ndio watakwambia usivae pink. Watakwambia
you see, that's even that's a whole lot of
the craziest one. The craziest one.
It's not even patriarchy, it's just bullshit.
It's bullshit because it's masculinity. Like we want you to make you masculine.
Yes.
Because you are not masculine enough.
You're not masculine enough. So inakuwaga like, let's say
ujaisikia men wanaambiwa you're not even supposed to have just ordinary orgasms. It should be intentional.
Sasa unacheki.
Sasa vitu watu wanafundisha huko kwa hizo mama
on Saturdays on Twitter.
Hauoni hiyo nini? Like the fact that he said
sijui mbona mnakasirikianga mademu wenu wakiwaambia tumefea na pesa za kufanya. Hizo pesa mna waste kwenda masculinity classes, tumeni mademu wenu hizo.
Azi zinakuwaga free.
Salon.
A lot of masculinity coaches are it's free lessons online.
Free.
It's free lessons online. I always say that they end up with fans who are incels. Unajuaga incels? Involuntary celibates. So involuntary celibates will always be very angry at women.
Because they are not getting, and it's not because they've chosen not to get, it's just not happening.
Yes, it's involuntary. So hapo ndio utakuwa like mademo anapenda pesa. Mademo akwende. Unacheki. So now the masculinity coach takes advantage of that. He comes and tells you it's not you who needs to improve.
It's them.
It's the women. Then sasa ka incel, he has nothing to spend. He has no woman to spend to, sends the masculinity coach money. And that's how the masculinity coaches make their money.
And then
they end up making a lot of...
But back to what you're saying. All of us have first-time experiences in a different way. That's what you're saying. So we can't... We no one is an expert at life.
Yes.
And then I just... when you said that, it triggered me telling people, you could be born in the same family. same household, same parents.
Yes.
But you always have to remember, like, for instance, our firstborn sister, our firstborn, we're
Yes.
4 girls. Our firstborn, her experiences and her relationships with our parents
Yes.
is completely different. Because while she was the firstborn, our parents were in a certain place. Then the secondborn, her relationship with her parents are different because also the dynamics have shifted. That's why utapata sana sana unasikia ma middleborn wanakwanga tu kiherere na vichwa ngumu because also they were fighting for attention. Their experiences are different. And I can tell you now that as a parent, because when I got my firstborn son,
Yes.
he was the only one. So anything he wants, anything he needs, all the schools he wanted to go, he's been in very high level schools. And there was nothing. This is the only child I have. And now I have my secondborn. And the way even I relate to my secondborn, first of all, my firstborn, I had him when I was 22. So also
Yes.
I was young. The way I related to him as a parent was different than the way I relate to the secondborn now. Because like, I'm going into my 40s. So, nyinyi nyote mkitoka huko alafu mshangae, kwani how come huyu ako hivi
Yes.
na huyu ako hivyo? It's not, alafu unasema na mulikuwa nyumba moja, parents wenu the same, mulienda shule same. But like you said, it's we have different experiences.
Yeah.
So even me, when I tell you, when you go to parliament, don't do this, don't sit in these committees. But also parliament responded to me and my personality as who I was. Maybe now when you go to parliament, even your personality will not even get you to stand up to speak every time. So maybe people will not even see you as a threat. So when I'm busy giving you, let me give you tips of how to survive. You probably don't need those tips because even your personality is different. So that's why I don't think anyone can qualify to be a life coach.
Okay, I think hapo tuna agree. Alafu kitu kingine pia lazima nikuulize. This is something that I had Ahmed Nasir say. Ahmed Nasir alikuwa nasema that there were a lot of people in the Uhuru government who are closeted. But apart from that, we've heard that there's a lot of parliamentarians who are closeted. So what do you think about that? Do you have a view on that? Of course, we are not talking about specifics. But niko sure maybe ushaienda kwa parliament, ukaingia pale ukapata MP aki.
Honestly,
ama jinsia ingine tu.
I feel like I'm the wrong person to ask because even as I've said it before, I just didn't socialize. I have a rule with my work.
Yeah.
My work is my work. I don't socialize. That doesn't mean I'm a snob. I just don't go out of my way. Ati, guys, tunaenda drinks hapo kwa bar ya Bunge wezi nipata. You can. I've stepped in there once to look. Kuna kanga hivi. Okay, done. But maybe if maybe get someone like, I don't know, get someone who hangs out in parliament with them.
Okay.
They'll be able to say, Kai, umse, ako hivi, ako. So actually, honestly, I can't tell you about individuals' sexualities, parliamentarians, because one, I never and I have not and will never sleep with them. So I can't tell you, by the way, hiyo kitu yenye nani amesema ni ukweli juu hata mimi nikikuwa na blah blah blah. And also I don't socialize with them to the level where people can be vulnerable and showcase who they really are. But however, I have had rumors. I've also, like, I've been in parliaments and I've had rumors, like someone would casually say, hey, huyo ni nani, but huyo anakuanga Batman ama whatever. Like they would use those connotations.
But
yeah, and then you see also it's very rare mtu aniambie because mimi ni wale wa so inakuhusu nini. So because I won't take it like let's discuss about that person's sexuality, so they know like hata ukimwambia she's not fun to discuss because she'll be like, why are we discussing that person's sexuality? But yeah, I know there are rumors, there are people saying certain individuals are gay or open. They call it what
bi.
is that? Not bi. There's bi and then there's the one fluid. Yeah, and sijui experimental, LGBTISQ sijui ile question ile ya mwisho queer and then kuna
ni kila mtu au sasa
mi hata baby
because queer can be used for all of them.
I
so
swear
all the
I cannot catch up. I don't have any bias towards people's sexuality. Me, I like men, and that's so far what I know.
Okay.
Yeah, I like to sleep with men only. Yeah.
Damn, hii podcast imepiga trajectory.
So siezi kakwambia, just for clarity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. story tumesikia za huko parliament. Alafu kwanza vile umesema hivyo bidi lazima nikuulize, so kuna ude moja shaisema juu ya alikuwa anafanya ngono kwa hizo choo za parliament.
Nani?
Kenya kuna kuaga sitataja nani,
okay.
But niko sure unajua because it's one of your nemesis. So hizo choo za parliament sikoja, are they clean, are they what? Because me when I think about choo nafikiaga tu choo. Alafu
So I think
alafu
the
pia
first person
wacha nimalize hii point. Alafu pia kuna wase wengi sana kutoka Moshadha wamekuja parliament, and those are the sort of people who believe that even having pee on the floor is normal, najua as men. So for a lot of places, hata unacheki like a place kama hii studio hapa, it's one of the places where we had to tell each other tukianza like buda jo, if there's any drop on the floor you have to wipe it, you understand?
Parliament is very decent and it's very clean. And
Okay,
it's very
I'm
and the
misbehaved.
people, and the parliamentarians there are very civilized. And I don't want to mention the name of that person, but unless akona parliament ingine alikuwa napelekwa, but the parliament me I've gone to is very decent, very clean. And I honestly can't tell about certain activities happening in the toilets of parliament. I feel some of these stories are far-fetched.
Sema tu hakupepetewa kocho, alitokea tu hivi akasema nilikuwa napepetwa kocho. Nakona acha.
I don't know, mimi ile parliament nimeona na zile choo nimeenda parliament, honestly. But also again, you know, I've told you the parliament bar is a place I never went to.
But maybe
You
you
understand?
are a senator.
Yeah.
Ulikuwa senator na yeye ni alikuwa na nini na MP.
No, but we have
Is
the
there...
joint. We have they have their side. They have their washrooms also. We have our washrooms in Senate. But like there's the lunch place that has the washrooms that everybody goes to, and that's why I'm saying maybe also let me not say that whatever the alikuwa nasema is a lie, but maybe also in the context of drinking, because there are a lot of people who drink at the bar. And I bet you there are toilets that are used there. Maybe that is a possibility. But honestly, Parliament, the one I know where we go to chambers and discuss bills, they're very civilized people, and there's civilized activities that happen at least during the day when we work. Yeah. Maybe beyond that, Sasa, you can ask those who hang out there after work.
Because that was the first time toilets were brought up. Sonko ali bring up that they used to have sessions, alisema waititu ama nani that they used to go and get high.
You know that the toilet scene, especially the ones in chambers, is a normal occurrence, because sometimes, for instance, you will be having your phone and you get a phone call that you must pick, and you don't want to leave chambers.
Yes.
So you might end up picking it in the toilet, right, at the back. And sometimes there's a scene where maybe you want to step out when session is going on to discuss something with someone in the toilet. But women have their toilet and men have their toilet. And they are maybe there's that corridor for Senate. There's a corridor where mukitoka kwa choo munaweza patana hapo. It's like a common corridor. It's like you enter that corridor, then if you go right, it's the women. If you go left, it's the men. So there sometimes unaweza kuwa natoka kwa choo na colleague ametoka kwa hiyo side nyingine, alafu tunapatana by the weekend ulikuwa unafanya at that corridor.
Yes.
So and a lot of deliberations also happen there, because you see you are not allowed to deliberate extensively within chambers.
Yeah.
Like unasikianga tukiambiwa sit down ama talk in low tones, and sometimes you want to just engage someone. So that becomes like a space you utilize for having conversations, that corridor. And I know that some people have previously said walikuwa wanavuta bangi. That would be so weird, because ukivuta bangi hapo then inamaanisha it can get to I don't know, I can't tell in there, but in the nini that I've been, sijaona mtu akivuta bangi huko nyuma, but we deliberate a lot there. Yeah.
Alafu nene hii of course unakuwaga hii utakuwa politically correct, but during
dismissive wake
lazima nikuulize, during the 2017 campaign ama ni 2013 Uhuru alikuwa accused of asubuhi ni bangi, jioni ni pombe. Unakumbuka like Raila, there was that famous Raila. So uliona Uhuru
but mimi sikuwa politics Uhuru
haukuwa, but afterwards at least mshaenda kwa same circles. So
same circles na Uhuru
Kenyatta. Smoke marijuana
na Uhuru Kenyatta.
I'm just asking.
Mimi sijakuwa same circles na Uhuru Kenyatta.
Okay.
Mimi Uhuru Kenyatta nilikuwa namwona kwa gazeti na kwa TV nikiwa high school.
So Jamie Uhuru?
Mimi sijai patana na Uhuru Kenyatta.
Damn, okay. Unajua si tunasema juu nini?
Ushaimit Uhuru Kenyatta sincerely.
Kwa nafikiri ushaimit Ruto maybe somehow. Ushaimit Uhuru before vitu zipasambaratika.
Mimi niliingia siasa I came back to the country 2019, so actively 2020. Sasa tungetoa napi na Uhuru?
Okay, naelewa. Cause reason ni kuuliza ni juu sasa mihadarati. Kumekuwa na history imekuwa ikitrend this weekend juu ya mihadarati. Alafu what's his name? Former DP. Gashagwa.
Truthful man.
Cocaine highway.
Yes. Ashaenda pale akasema juu ya cabinet secretaries wana sit pale and they are drug barons. Hiyo ndio jina alitumia, drug barons. So ulifuatilia historia ya Cocaine Highway? And
I watched it and you know those activities that are happening in ukiwachio Cocaine Highway, au makara wote ni kama wanafanyia na tapo, you know, passing over the guy. They are all reporting to one person. And you know, unfortunately I feel like that situation utapata sasa hao makara wa chini ndio watavutwa.
Yeah.
And yet utapata they are all reporting to one person mwenye sasa ndio alishikilia gig. Unajua you get the gig alafu uko na watu wako wa grao wenye wamzindikishe. Na huyo that high person for sure haezi kuwa na hiyo confidence yote ku approve vitu zingine kama hana protection.
Yes.
And when I mean protection ni ile akikuwa kwa ngori atapigia nani simu.
Yes.
Ni nani amempatia hiyo nini. So I'm not going to dismiss it. I don't want to say like, oh, that's nothing, those are just junior officers who are running their own rackets down there. That is definitely coming from someone in cabinet level.
Damn, cabinet level. Alafu lisikia hiyo story ati
it doesn't even have to be cabinet, but I'm just saying from someone on cabinet level there are certain clearances and there are certain phone calls you can make, and whoever you're calling will just automatically know in he level in instructions. And that's why I'm saying it has to be coming from someone on cabinet level for sure.
Yeah.
So I mean Kenyans on online DCI wameleta mapicha za Waziri Joho akiwa na certain personality, wameshikanisha hiyo personality na hiyo nini. You know, Kenyans are also not stupid, you can't lie to them. Yeah. So wameingia online wametafuta wamekuja wametwekea. I mean if it walks like a duck,
quacks like one.
Okay. So alafu another thing nilifind very interesting na hiyo story ni vile kuna semekana ati the fact that minerals, tuki-export minerals, they don't go through the same procedure.
That's also another thing. Me, I can't speak confidently in terms of certain clearances that can be bypassed if you are operating a government program.
Yes.
But there exists an ability or a leeway where certain clearances can be given. For instance, if you get VIPs coming through JKIA, there's a clearance that you can receive where you go and receive the VIP from the tarmac of the airport. Yani hata ingia hata kwa airport.
Oh, so hata
pitia hizo vitu zote. Atachukuliwa akishuka hivi hiyo Boeing KQ whatever, ataingia kwa gari, atolewe kwa airport. There are certain clearances when we get like VVIPs that come. So that also shows you there are certain clearances that can be bypassed on certain level. And I think what the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua was trying to say, and you see he knows better than me.
Yes.
Because mimi sijai kuwa Deputy President. Mi hakuna mahali nimeka cabinet. He has been the Deputy President. He sat in cabinet. He understands more ongoings from the inside. So when he comes to tell you that, listen, there's this ministry because of the fact that they handle minerals and things that have to be tested because maybe Kenya is trying to position itself within that space, then for sure he's in a better... It's like me when I tell you things from parliament, unless you're also a parliamentarian who has been in the same space, same committee, same situation, and then you have no... Kuna watu wengine wanataka kuargue na mimi, wewe anasema tu uongo, she's a bitter ex. Wewe ushaikuwa parliament? Unajua choza parliament venye
mimi si ndo nimebidi nikuulize.
So Gachagua akituambia kuna clearances zingine zenye unaweza bypass because you're sending minerals or whatever. who are we to question?
Because it's interesting.
I'm actually waiting to see a cabinet secretary or a statement from that side to now say this is a lie and give us clarity. And until then, really, we have no choice but to believe Gachagua.
Okay. But have you traveled out maybe recently?
Yes, yes.
Because I met fan wa Iko Nini. He's based in Australia, Melbourne. It's just here in place likuwa na nimewatch ball weekend. So iko like, hey, niaje? Oh, unafanyanga ile show. So I flied in from Australia via Qatar Airways. And I was shocked by the level of security. Our bags hazikuwa zinachekiwa. Kwa tunaingia tu.
No, but when you are coming in.
Kuna
no,
vile
but no. When you're so hazikuwa zinachekiwa on arrival ama on departure?
On arrival.
But on arrival, bags zako hazichekiwangwi.
But ukipita pale place ya KRS kuna kuanga na some scanning.
Final bags zako zinaskaniwangwa on departure. That's why you go 2 hours before. That's when your bags are scanned. That's why the guys were so confident kwa sababu wakishapita departure ukifika London si bags zinakuja. Okay, there are certain airports watakuwa na masniffer dogs hapo kwa belt kwa sababu maybe there's something that has been flagged. But the biggest security nini that you have when you are departing is when you are departing.
Not arriving.
On arrival, as much as you'll be checked, they'll check for contraband, like for contraband in the sense that umeleta vitu unataka kuuza. You know, kuna for instance when I lived in Europe, I would bring a lot of things from Kenya nini for my own consumption.
Yes.
But inafika mahali mtu akifungua suitcase yako anaona wewe unaenda kufungua kiosk. You know, mbona hizi tea leaves ni nyingi, mbona hizi unga ni nyingi, hizi za chapo nini as in kutakuwa na question ya hapana. So they would check. There are those situations, and also sometimes depending on the destination there would be that like kwa hapo pali bags inakuja kuletwa, there will be the sniffer dogs na watu wanaangalia. But the concern here was that because they know on departure is where they really check on who, because when you're trafficking anything you're taking it from a destination.
Yes.
Then you have to leave the destination, and that's where now it's very tight, even just from a basic understanding. But walikuwa wanajua hata bypass hiyo sio mse alishikiwa London. So alishikiwa London aje. That's the problem with that story. We are not told when alishikwaje. Tunaonyeshwa tu alishikwa, atuonyeshwi venye unaonanga hizi madocumentary ati mtu alifika alafu maybe alikuwa anakaa suspicious ama nini. Alafu hizo za documentary ukiona mtu anakaa suspicious alafu alishikwa is when they were passport control. Alafu wanaekwa kwa kando, wanakuobserve 3 hours, unaenda choo alafu wanapata unaona ulikuwa umeswallow hizo tablets na nini na nini. But I wish they could show us uko London alishikwa kwa nini, because also what I suspect is that and I am almost certainly sure that this is what went down. Watu waligongana tu hapa. Kuna mtu alikata kulipa mtu pesa alikuwa anafaa kulipa.
So akapiga
alafu akamwambia in fact hata wacha ni wa city na akapiga arrival on the other side, akapatia na details za the passenger and everything na akashikwa. That is what I suspect.
Would make sense.
Yeah, because we don't get to see that it was just a random person in London at the airport picking their bags and the sniffer dog came and found, alas, cocaine. Yeah. So I also feel the reason that happened is, again, the corruption within the corruption. Like already all of you are thugs, but sasa there is no honor amongst you.
Yes.
Mmeenda mmeibiana, mmoja amewaseti.
Lakini pia vile when you are asking for the statement, don't you feel that sometimes it's just good to ignore? So the same thing that you remember ukisema that according to wewe Brale anafaa kuignore hii story, like never comment on it. Yes,
but that's the same thing na relationships.
The same thing na ingine like if people are always saying that mimi ni mtu wa mihadarati. Yes, and it's just been there, and it's been there like because this is not the first time tunasema kuna cabinet secretaries wa mihadarati. Nakumbuka like when we say there are 2 cabinet secretaries wa mihadarati, 2 people come in mind, sindio? They've never addressed it. Why address it
but
now?
But you see, if you're even if they don't want to address it, then let our president tell us that indeed he is aware that his cabinet, there are people who are dealing drugs. You know, it's no longer about them. No, unanipata. It's no longer about Burale na ex-wife yake. Those are personal things. This is about state officers. We are guided by chapter 6 of the Constitution, integrity and all the things that should be under that.
Yes.
You can't just say ignore when the international community has flagged JKIA as a potential highway where all sorts of drugs are passing. Then useme ati mi nitaignore tu juani watu wananiekelea. You ignoring actually doesn't help the situation. It doesn't position our country, our airport in a way. In fact, what is happening, these people not putting out a public statement, our passport as Kenyans is becoming weaker. You leave Kenya and you'll have to go through 5 extra security checks because we already know you are either the terrorist because we have started giving IDs to people from Somalia. So as much as you have a Kenyan passport, we don't know if you're Kenyan or the terrorist that has been given a passport from Somalia. Now we have been told JKIA, where you've come from is a highway for cocaine. So we need to also check, aside from you being a terrorist, do you have drugs? And then number 3, we are being told that we are also a syndicate of all this kind of information between not only drug cartels, but akina RSF, nanini. So we also need to know who's coming into our country. Are you also an informant of the people we are fighting? Unanielewa? Every single day that passes that government doesn't address this, the Kenyan passport is becoming weaker. We are being seen as criminals in the international community. So, first of all these cabinet secretaries that have been implicated in this cocaine highway thing must put out public statements so that we know what is their position in this matter. And also now, the president, who these people report to, has to come out and tell us. By the way, in which country do you have an expose like that one? Alafu the next day is business as usual. Watu wanaenda kanisa kuomba.
Sasa I reacted to that. Nilireact to hiyo nikasema Kenya is such an interesting country that during this weekend 2 stories happened. One story was about a man and his ex-wife, and the other story was about cabinet secretaries being accused of being drug barons. And if you ask Kenyans which story they are following up on, everyone is following up on stories a man and ex-wife. Here, cabinet secretary, kwetu tu tuko sawa tu.
But you know, it's unfortunate because I sort of understand Kenyans. Because unajua hii aburale tunaweza ijali to discuss tumalizane nayo kwa machama. Wewe uchukue position, mimi nichukue, tukue na closure. Hii ya gava, what can Kenyans do?
Yeah.
Unanielewa? They went to the streets. People were shot. So nile kitu there's some hopelessness that Kenyans have such that unasikia mtu akikwambia toa news, taki kuona news, because hata mkiniambia pesa zetu zinakuliwa, hata mkiniambia watoto wetu wanarepiwa, hata saa mimi nitafanya nini? You know, and what I like that is slowly coming up, because I had an event over the weekend that I went for, the moment unasema endeni mukajiandikishe, ndio unaona Wakenya wanaamka. They are like, at least we know that one thing we can do. We are going to register to vote, because let me tell you, we are so done with these people. So I think also let's not blame Kenyans so much for being hopeless, because truly this administration has killed any level of hope. Any level. In fact, the only place where this administration has tried to keep the humanity and some sense of hope is within sports, and it's not the administration. The sportsmen have gone, they've done their thing, as they always do. It's only that at least they put some sort of spotlight to highlight that, you know, na hizo mamillions zilikuwa zinapewa kwa Harambee Stars. Other than that, Kenyans are hopeless. They are waiting for someone to come and save them. And they don't know, when you come and tell a Kenyan saizi, hizi nyumba zote zitaangushwa kwa sababu kuna barabara inafaa kupita hapa. What are they supposed to do? They can't do anything. They can only wait for 2027 to vote. Yeah.
Okay, but pia niko na I was saying that maybe CS means cocaine smuggler. how do you know? But sasa kitu moja nataka kuuliza, diplomatic immunity.
Yeah.
How does it work? Because this is how I looked at it when I was analyzing the story. I said that yes, this originally came from Saitoti, sindio? Saitoti went on the floor of parliament and said 4 MPs, by then there were MPs, might have been, kulikuwa na an American dossier, sindio? So kwa hiyo nini walisema, kulikuwa na Mwau, kulikuwa na Sonko, kulikuwa na Kafogo, na kulikuwa na Joho. They were accused. But I've seen Kafogo and Joho in America. America can never let you uingie hapo kama umecommit sins kwa hizo country.
That's why if you listen to Gachagua, he said.
Yes.
Okay, first let's backtrack kidogo.
Yeah.
You talked about diplomatic
immunity. That's why I'm asking. Yes.
But it's not really immunity. Let me tell you about diplomatic passports.
Yes.
When you're a state officer, most people go and get diplomatic passports.
Yes.
So it's not the normal ordinary Kenyan passport. it's a passport that showcases this passport you have because you are a state officer.
Yes.
You are a government official, and you should be treated as a government official, a state officer. When you have a diplomatic passport, you bypass, for instance, there's even a special queue on arrival, departure for diplomats, because it is a what do you call it? It's privilege
Yes.
to have a diplomatic passport. When you're a member of parliament,
Yes.
you have the option to get a diplomatic passport. Most members of parliament, they get diplomatic passports. Most.
Yes.
Maybe all even. I'm not sure. Okay. I personally had
Ulichukuaga?
no interest of getting a diplomatic
Kwa
passport.
nini? Na inakuja na advantages gani?
See, that's what I'm telling you. Inakuja na advantage. For instance,
Kupita.
even if you apply for a visa, for, you know, even these embassies, they don't see you now as an ordinary person who has to come and give us bank statements. Why are you going there and what? Because you have a diplomatic passport. So even gaining entry to certain countries,
It's
the
easier.
visas, it's easier. Another thing, when you have a diplomatic passport, if anything were to happen to you in that particular destination that you are in, and you showcase your diplomatic passport, even the way the authorities treat you there is different. They'd even, you know, call your embassy, nini, hata ukipatikana na emergency. It has some level of the prestige,
Yes.
and it's a privilege to have a diplomatic passport.
Yes.
When you're a cabinet secretary, you definitely have a diplomatic passport. And even if you don't have a diplomatic passport, you have a travel document or something that indicates that you're a diplomat or you're a state officer. And that's why sometimes certain people, they don't really want the job because of the salary. They want the job because of the perks, because the perks then allow them to do other things.
Okay.
And that is what was being alluded, that now you have a person who's already known to be a drug baron.
Yes.
You take this person and you give them a certain privilege that then opens for them the doors to run their illegal affairs by using that office. That is what was being alluded.
Si unakuuliza america vile naijuaga like unagwa majuzi we extradited like some somali kid the somali whatever, he was extradited because money was being stolen in Minnesota, alafu anatumiwa hapa South Sea, ananunua nayo apartments. So the Americans
So
wamekuja
alikuwa na
wakamchukua.
financial fraud, inaitwa
Yes.
financial money laundering. It's
Yes.
like,
So yeye alikuwa Kenya. He was not the one directly stealing the
financial
money.
crime, that's what I was looking for.
Yes. Hakuwa naiba hii pesa, but pesa ilikuwa inakuja kwake.
So he was a conduit of
Yes.
money
The
laundering.
beneficiary.
Yeah.
So
Not even a
America-
beneficiary, a
of the
conduit.
crime.
Yes.
Yeah.
But wanchiki America wakamkujia wakasema tunamtaka akuje sasa Minnesota. He goes through the legal process. Remember, getting a visa time ya kawaida ni hard, lakini as a
But hiyo
criminal
siku
ni
ali-
haraka.
alitolewa kwa sababu he was a criminal.
Yes. So that's what I'm
Allegedly.
asking is, if these two guys are drug barons in quotes, because this is how I was using to dismiss that, and the fact that at some point they'd been mentioned by the US, if they are still doing the business, does the diplomatic passport give them diplomatic immunity? So that means that even if America looks at them as criminals, they can come in and out. Ama the fact that they can go into America shows that they are actually not
By
criminals.
the way, I'm not an expert in that, but I can tell you for a fact,
Yes.
there has not been any judicial process that has found any of those people guilty.
Yes.
And they have not been sentenced. They have not been everything we are talking about until it passes that process
Yes.
is literally an allegation.
Yes.
And that's it's the concept of you are innocent until proven guilty.
Yes.
And I think for diplomatic ties, and this is now where the embassy is coming, and also unasikia sawa watu wetu wa Uganda wenye wameshikwa, the Kenyan ambassador to Uganda is the one now dealing with it from a diplomatic level.
Yes.
I think it's that thing of it is a publicly known rumor,
Yes.
but no one has gone out of their way other than this exposure that came out to prove actually that this individual, this particular cabinet secretary, is guilty of being a drug baron.
Yes.
But I can tell you, when that happens, or when it becomes extremely clear that these are the people who are actually, in this, participating in this crime,
Yeah.
that's when you will see not only the US, but other countries red flagging you and banning you from going. We know of politicians who are not allowed to go to the US. Kenyan politicians who have been blacklisted and they cannot get visas to go to the US.
Sonko used to be one of them, huh?
I don't know. You have to ask him. But I know.
So think more.
I
But
don't
So,
the
you know,
names
Mr.
you mentioned.
Where do umesema you know of
No, I'm
politicians?
just
So
saying,
which
I know
politician?
of Kenyan politicians
Mgani
who have
yo?
been blacklisted.
Mgani?
I cannot mention their names because also then I will have to show you where they've been blacklisted.
Yes.
And that would be a stretch.
Okay.
But I know,
Okay.
and many people know also. And here's the thing. They won't come out to tell you I've been blacklisted, but they know they've been blacklisted. And it's not because that they have been found guilty of committing the crimes, but the indicators have been so strong that we can't ignore it anymore. So we kwanza tumekuweka kwa bench kwanza, we tulia.
Yes.
So I think for me, this expose, other than, first of all, we have not even seen heads rolling.
Yes.
This thing after it featured on KTN, umenotice venye imelengwa.
But that's
And you
Kenya.
know,
That's Kenya
no,
for
that's
you.
not Kenya. That's not Kenya. That's this administration. That's not Kenya. You know why? Don't say that's Kenya. When you hear a very, and this is the paradox, when you hear a big silence about a big expose, ask yourself, who is this that the administration cannot compromise?
Okay.
Who is this that we cannot get rid of at this time? We might get rid of them later, but at this time, when we have united opposition, and we don't have anyone from the coast region, and the same week we have seen Moha sitting with Rigathi Gachagua, ndio unataka kwanza kutuambia watu wa Mombasa ni drug barons. Let me tell you, weka hapo na hiyo story juu. Nani atatuletea kura za Mombasa?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Damn.
So the silence, ask yourself, even just a statement. See, statement tu itoke. In fact, just put a statement and say, these rumors are wrong, whoever is saying this, nini. Because also if you don't say anything, and this is not about a marriage or your sexuality, this is about a matter that concerns Kenyans, and you are a public officer, so you must say something. Remember I told you, you keep quiet when it is personal affairs, family affairs. But when you're a state officer and people have come and said you have stolen money worth this amount, you keep quiet. Why are you keeping quiet? So you're saying it's true. Yeah.
But nini unacheki vile nasema like this shadow has always been there kwa watu wawili, like you are this and it's never been proven, so maybe wako zile za nyi kwendeni huko, we still travel. So you aujuju your diplomatic immunity, like what does it help with? Because I always hear
There are people who have diplomatic immunity, but
what
it's
does
not-
that help
A diplomatic passport doesn't mean you have diplomatic immunity.
okay, but
Yeah.
diplomatic immunity tusaidia na nini? Because nishaonaga hivo, like I'm watching a movie and this person is involved in a hit and run.
I think wacha kitu nitafanya
Wende
because I
research.
have a number of people in that foreign affairs space. I'll get you one person akuja fanye podcast hapa atuexplainie mbona
Diplomatic
ndio tuelewe diplomatic. Wacha nisijifanye najua kuongea. I'm not an expert in everything. You know
Okay,
me, I'm not
okay.
an expert
And
in
if you're an MP and you used to have, that diplomatic passport, and you've since vacated your seat, and it expires.
Yeah, it's given for a period of I don't
If
know.
you are reply, if you
I
are
don't know
reapplying,
because I have never had a diplomatic passport. I never applied for it. At the beginning, people were telling me, apply for it. Nini, I didn't. It's not something that excited me.
okay,
Because also, one of the other things is that if you have a diplomatic passport, from what I was informed when they were pushing me to apply, every time you travel, you have to get clearance from
the government.
government because you're traveling using a government whatever facilitated passport.
But sasa
Umeanda biashara zao.
lakini unaweza kuwa naambia
So unaelewa like sasa that means like if I just wanted to go and see my friends wherever I'm going to see them, like the other day I was in Ghana, the other day I was in Alabama, now I'll be telling you, sasa ninaenda. No, I was just like, I don't want that. I just don't want to be 300% accountable even in my family affairs to government. Why? I mean,
Okay.
yeah, so for me I was just like, no thank you. I will keep my personal. I'm okay being an ordinary Kenyan. I will travel as an ordinary Kenyan. Yeah.
Okay. Of another story that pia Gachagua libonga juu yake ilikuwa story za Kenya pipeline, yes? So history ya kuprivatize like public institutions, we had it as soon as Ruto came into power. We started hearing these stories. So at some point, were you supporting this? Na kwa nini
Yes.
kwa na support
I-
history ya kuprivatize?
I support privatization of I support privatization of state agencies
Like
that
which
have
ones?
potential to make more money and be more self-sufficient and sustainable.
Kama gani?
KICC.
Okay.
I support privatization of KICC, but remember,
That's a
privatization of KICC is not selling KICC. You know, you can privatize an institution and government can still own. Safaricom, for instance, government owns shares, but it is a sort of public-private, you know. It's not a government, it's not a state parastatal or whatever. So in that sense, I support being able to run business, to being able to run all businesses, to make them profitable, and you know, the workers who are there, their pension is able to be catered for, you know, they're able to be paid salaries based on the market, you know, because also what's the point of saying in ya serikali inaka and it's running losses, the facility is deteriorating. But before you even reach the privatization of the same, as a government, you can't say that we are running affairs the way we used to run affairs in the 60s or in the 70s or in the 80s.
Yes.
So before you even get to privatization, why have we not done the things that need to be done for that institution to run as a profitable institution?
Yes.
So, which means like, look at how the affairs in terms of corporate affairs are being run of that institution. When you go to places like Mumias Sugar and all these other entities that have been in this space where people are saying we shouldn't privatize, kuna places zingine unaingia unashangaa, hii biashara wewe ungepewa tu ukue CEO, kuna watu first utavuta, jua kuna kazi wanafanya, maybe hata hawakujangi kazini. Why do we tolerate that kind of unprofessionalism within government institutions? By the way, as far back as 2003, I think it was 2003, 2004, 2002, 3 and 4, around that time, the culture of employees or workers in government, in civil service, was so bad that we literally had to say we need to put an end to this. That is when they introduced the performance contracts. That is when they were doing the switch of government has to be sustainable, people have to. So you remember there was a big retrenchment of many employees, because they also did an audit and they were like, these employees actually don't do anything. Like, these people are just hired, they come, they sit, they don't even have a desk. Kuna mahali bench wanashare desk moja watu sita, so that you can just be a government employee, you clock in and you earn. So there was a huge retrenchment. I can't remember the exact date. I'm even placing the dates based on what was happening in my life as a child, because we were in high school and my father was a civil servant, and the anxiety, I was in high school, and the anxiety around him losing his job or being moved from one place to another because they were restructuring government. And at that time, they introduced performance contracts, meaning that you're not permanent and pensionable till you die. We won't need bado uko permanent, but we will gauge your performance. There are certain parameters that have to be met. Now, when you look at how that trajectory is, we were going to a good place where people would be accountable to their work and their objectives, and they would have output. But those things are not practiced in certain institutions, like even this Kenya pipeline. So in one sense, those state-owned, government-owned institutions, they need to change their culture in terms of output, in terms of even meeting targets.
But
you know,
but still lazima to privatize for them to change.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. First, those steps have not even been taken. So people have just woken up and they're like, let's privatize. The advantages of privatizing, it also comes with a culture change, because remember, biashara yako na biashara serikali kuna venye zina run. Ya serikali, there's a lot of wastage on resources, there's a lot of laxity on just doing things, there's a lot of nonchalant kind of thing. It's like, and tutafanya kesho, hata show ijaanza, show inaanza next week, tutalipa consultant akuja fanye because we have a budget. But if you are running it as a business that you own, that you have to put in, you'll be cutting the losses and making sure it's efficient. That's what comes with privatization. But now, the issue of Kenya Pipeline, it has nothing to do with the operations. The privatization and the proposal of the privatization has nothing to do with the operations of Kenya Pipeline. It also has nothing to do with the return on investment in terms of it running as a profitable. And this is what I said in the podcast I came. All the manifesto that we had as Kenya Kwanza, very good things. Every single thing in the manifesto is like, anyone should pick that manifesto and run with it next election. When they start implementing, guess what they do? They are all businessmen. If you read the theory of SHA, the theory of it, you'll be like, wow, kitu tukiimplement tu hivi na tukue serious.
Yes.
It's like
SHA was in the manifesto.
Yeah.
Okay.
We had universal healthcare, affordable universal healthcare. It was in the manifesto. It has come in form of SHA. So when you read the theory of SHA, it's beautiful and it's really the thing that would help this country. Then you start implementing it and you find people now trying to make business opportunities out of every step of the implementation,
Yes.
including call centers. You know, you're trying to make sure that running SHA should cost you less than 3% of the total contribution. But then mtu akuje anasema pana call center yezi because yeye ashajua call center ni yake.
Yeah.
So anajitafutia tenda ya call center. Unaona? Of course ana inflate. So hata ile that ceiling yenye tulikuwa tumeweka ya operational cost inaenda juu because now we are actually trying to make sure nani tenda yake ikuwe sawa. Juu yenyewe hakuna biashara yoyote ingine amepata kwa serikali, mpe tu call centers. Unanielewa? Then every single step unapata mtu hapo ndani ana like now when they brought the regulations to parliament about how they should run SHA, and if you look at the regulation, every single regulation is a business opportunity, including data protection. Oh, we are going to put up data centers. What are you putting up? We have data centers. If you go to Konza City, they're sitting there. It's real estate sitting. Government has a facility, nothing. But there is a proposal of how the SHA data should be handled and billions allocated because someone has seen a business opportunity. So what is happening with Kenya Pipeline is not the concept of saving an institution and making it profitable. What is happening in Kenya Pipeline is someone knows that it's 2 years to the elections and they have looked at what they thought they would make from this government and haijatosha, and now they want to buy it. And they're buying it for the future of their children. They are buying it for the future of their political survival in the event they don't come back to office again, which is it's becoming a very clear possibility to them. They are buying it for the purpose of ensuring that if there's ever going to be a commission that is set up for inquiring of the state capture.
Yes.
I am buying it. I am implicating all the people who possibly could run that commission so that I can negotiate myself through there. You know, like ukienda ukachini useme lakini mbona tunafanya hivi? Unaona tunafanya hivi because ya nani na nani na nani na huyu anataka pesa hii, na huyu anataka pesa hii, na huyu ako na deni ya kurudisha hii, na huyu. It has nothing to do with Kenya Pipeline.
Pipe dreams.
Yeah.
Because umesikia hiyo story ya Gachagua says it's worth 600 billion and it's being sold for 100 billion. Now the land that it sits on is worth 40 billion. So it's like we are selling it for 60 billion. That's 10% of its value. So
and one thing about government that I have seen, you see, for something to be valued, it will be valued by valuers.
Yes.
Who will be contracted by government. So whatever valuation we are given by government is actually not the true valuation. Yeah, because if government wants to sell it for a certain amount, there's no way the valuer will come back and tell you, by the way, this thing is 600 billion. And then you say, okay, announce that. Be like, no, but we've gotten a buyer for 100 billion. Eburudisha iso valuation chini.
Yeah.
So the thing is, there's no transparency in what is happening. We were told it is a private investor who does not want to be known. Even the way that was presented.
Yeah.
Mbona hataki kujulikana ananunua Kenya Pipeline?
And it's a
Na hii pia
state,
sitafanya fuel ikuwe more expensive.
state-owned
'Cause
agency.
if I'm running a private company and I'm
It
used
will have
into...
implications, and you know, people are ignoring it and people don't see the implications. I've always said this, as long as you cannot simplify the politics to venye itakuja kukuaffect kwa nyumba yako hapo pali umeka umoja one, people will not understand what's going on.
Yes.
And you know, the idea of people being ignorant and uninformed, actually, which is ignorant. I'm short of saying stupid. The idea of people not knowing how these things impact them also makes them like, hiyo si vita yangu.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wacha wafanye Kenya wanataka until suddenly mumekujiwa kwa nyumba yako na every month maybe you have to pay 3,000. Ukianza kuuliza what do you mean miss na si tulitengeneza ile barabara yenye nini, you're like hamuku, you know, we don't have enough sensitization for the public. Because obvious mafuta ikienda juu kuna mtu anakuuliza mimi hainihusu kwa sababu mimi sina gari. You understand? Very simplistic thinking. Huna gari so unafikiria mafuta ikienda juu ikuhusu. So you think all the things you consume the where they're being produced, they
Yeah.
don't use fuel.
Yeah,
Those
fair.
factories don't use fuel.
Yeah,
Si hata
dropped.
fair.
Unanielewa?
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, but lazima ukalishe. Sometimes I have to talk to my staff, all my staff at home, in the office, everywhere, and I have to break it down to them like this. Skiza, hii kitu tunafanya because ABC. Then they're like, okay, got it. But then no one is sensitizing Kenyans to that extent, because the people who've been blowing the whistle, they're being fired, they're being intimidated, they're being, unanielewa?
Yes.
Yeah, so and that's what's happening. So unapata watu wana, like yesterday when Gachagua was on KTN, it's like the whole country was watching. And I was telling someone in the political space that God loves this country, because if you were not impeached, then who would have been talking for Kenyans?
Yes.
I mean, who? Nani angekuja kutuambia hapa that Kenya Pipeline imenunuliwa na Manaijo? Like, si hata tungejua vitu kama hizo. Nani angekuja kutuambia ati ule mse wa RSF walipatana na Orezo because they were doing ABC? We would just be walking around here like stupid people, not knowing anything, and our country would be governed. So things happen for a reason. It's the same reason I sort of now take in a lot of things that have happened to me, and I'm like, who would have been telling Kenyans what is happening in Parliament, why Parliament has become so weak, why Parliament should not be taken seriously to some extent, and what we should do about changing that? No one, absolutely no one. Yeah.
I think Gavailich is a blunder. Like the way it handled the Gachagua issue.
No, the way it handled most of those issues.
Yeah, we have Baba now, but now we have ni Baba Gachagua.
Yeah. But
and wanasemanga power abhors vacuum. Nature abhors vacuum. So sa umetoa mtu alikuwa ana sensitize wa Kenya juu ya Adani deals, airport na nini. Ulikuwa una expect sasa kutanyamaza, like sasa tuko sawa, sasa tukule tu kabisa, sasa let's just steal from Kenyans.
Yeah.
Nah, doesn't work like that.
So pia lazima nikuulize, of course one of the headlines ile niliona, I think it's even in the past 1 month, is that you dropped your case. So why did you drop your case?
No, that's propaganda. And you see why I like nowadays, have you noticed I'm doing podcasts and alternative media? Because mainstream media has been bought in totality. Even the owners of the mainstream media don't know they've been bought, because they haven't been bought as the media house. What has happened is that there are specific, powerful newsroom editors who are on payroll to all sorts of people, including the cartels in Parliament. So, for instance, when that same story, the day when that same story of I have dropped my case was being propagated, is the same day when UDA went to court to try and get protection for the lady who's now sitting illegally in Senate, and they were told no. But they didn't want the breaking news to be breaking news, big blow, as UDA has to wait, blah, 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 blah. So they ran a fake story. There's no case that I have dropped. I won my case in the tribunal.
Yeah.
I won my case in the tribunal. See, you people hata muliona tribunal judges wakisoma hiyo kesi nikashinda.
Okay,
I got my orders. I was reinstated. I went to Parliament. You saw the famous nini nikiinuliwa mguu. You know?
The breakdown moment.
So sometimes now there's even another poster that, let me tell you how desperate these State House boys are. They're so desperate that not only have they bought specific newsroom editors who are going against the journalist code there, by the way, to make sure news inakuja enye ni legitimate, imeverifyiwa, journalist amefanya kazi, ameenda ground, amepata news, unaelewa, ameleta mpaka kwa newsroom, anaambiwa yes thanks. Ukiwatch hiyo 7 o'clock 9 o'clock haikuji. Newsroom editor alishanunuliwa, alirushiwa kakichwa, kaambiwa kanyaga chini. That is why I will tell you about so many things that are happening in Parliament, particularly in Senate, which stories have been done but zimekanyagiwa azifiki public. Unanielewa? So na unajua story kama hizo ni ngumu zifikie bloggers, zitafikia ama zifikie alternative media, ama zifikie because wamenunua, wanajua like the mainstream media is the biggest in terms of breaking news from Parliament, because in Parliament, even as an alternative journalist who runs something that's not mainstream, it will become where saizi jaribu kuapply atupewe access ya parliament as Iko Nini uende kuficha stories. You think you're going to get access? You will not get access. They will not approve you and they will not give you a badge.
Okay.
So the people who have been accessed and given a badge to give the stories, sometimes they do the stories, wakishafikisha kwa newsroom zinazimwa.
The editor ashachiwa kakitu.
So that day when they were running at TF, there's no case that as far as I'm concerned, by the way, I won my case in the tribunal. I have a case in the labor court that is still ongoing about the illegal stoppage of my salary, which started way back even before I had been removed illegally.
Yes.
So I have a case in the labor court. It's very active. I can give you the case numbers. You can, put to Kenyan so that they can see. I have, remember that Jeremiah Nyegenye, the clerk of the Senate, won a defamation case in the lower court.
I think from the podcast leo, alishinda the next day, ama? Because I remember we had not released the podcast before.
And tulikuwa tumeambiwa judgment itatoka by notice. By notice inamaanisha whenever the judge will be ready, whatever. So anytime. So as you've said, tulifanya podcast ikakuwa So anyway, he won that and I was slapped with a 10.5 million bill for defamation.
Yes.
I have an active appeal case in the High Court on that. I have not withdrawn that case.
Yes.
I am appealing that case. It is very active. We got orders stopping the implementation of that judgment because I feel there were a lot of things that were not considered, or maybe they were considered by passing, or maybe a lot of things, just many things. And that is what I'm going to court now to argue. There's that. And so those cases are active. I've not withdrawn any case. And I won my case about my legal removal. I won it. Now, UDA has gone to appeal the case in the High Court.
Kitu fani ni history ya wewe withdraw petition. I think it was more of blogs than even, like when I search it, naiona kwa Easily Voice, naiona kwa Nyakundi Report, naiona kwa Tuko News. So yeah, that's why I'm seeing it.
Citizen TV also put it.
Yes,
online.
That you dropped your case.
Yeah. And as I'm saying, yani mi kuna vitu nimejionea nikiwa parliament that I will be able to authoritatively say, first of all, don't listen to everything that is being proper. In fact, there's a Twitter person who said, learn to identify a smear campaign. Yeah. The clerk of the Senate,
Yes.
for sure, is the one who runs the budget for media for Senate.
Yes.
Yeah. He is the accounting officer. He approves the budget for media. He approves the things that go on. He's the one who even approves the payments once we do all those notices and everything. So when I tell you, learn to understand a smear campaign, For a very long time, actually, and I want to thank you for this, and I want to thank my staff, because my staff really pressured me to come for the first Iko Nini show.
Yeah.
Because they felt like I need to go to alternative media. For a very long time, a smear campaign ran by these people of me was, yani kuna time ulikuwa unaamka Twitter mpaka watu wanashanga enyewe udem ni shetani. They ran a very strong smear campaign, and can I tell you something? It was bankrolled by the taxpayers' money. That's how bad it was. Yeah. Right now, I've seen the State House boys putting out fake posters, wanatajaribu kunigonganisha na Matiangi. Saying that Matiangi doesn't listen. Fake posters, fake things. Sometimes they wake up, they get a feeling that maybe I am looking at Kalonzo a certain way and I'm trying to go there. They start, they're just, and run by the taxpayers' money. And sometimes they even run complete stories on the mainstream media. Fake stories. During that whole sexual harassment thing, I could not even believe some media houses. I would call the journalists who came to interview me and ask them, how did that story end up the way you have put it? And they would say, unajua sisi tunafanya hito alafu ikifika huko kwa newsroom editor wanajua venye wanafanya. Okay. So I have completely decided that going forward, I will exercise every other alternative media because I just realized doing nothing also doesn't help me. Yeah. And they don't do it only to me. They do it to whistleblowers. You saw the shy guy who was fired.
Yes, kuzata nilikuwa na plan kuuliza. It's one of the
They're
stories
about to start running a smear campaign against him.
Yes, so kulikuwa ni whistleblower on SHA fraud loses job. And so yes, so ilikuwa ni msanitwa Andrew Rotich. Alafu ikakuwa like Andrew Rotich, ilikuwa kwa Nation. Ilikuwa ni Andrew Rotich, the auditor who unearthed an alleged medical billing racket that prompted the closure of 1,300 rogue hospitals, has lost his job at the Social Health Authority. Sindio? So, we mwenye ndo ulikuwa umesponsor the whistleblower bill. What was on this bill?
The whistleblower protection bill, by the way,
Yes.
when I was the sponsor, before they took it away from me, National Assembly took it away from me.
Yes.
By the way, I need to do a podcast. I need to talk to someone. I'm just putting it out there
Yeah.
to help me do a podcast on understanding Parliament and how Parliament works.
It's Iko Nini.
You know what I mean?
So,
Because I'm realizing I'm saying something and people will, because I was going to say before they took it away, so people are like, they took, how do they take away?
Oh, okay,
so when
okay.
you sponsor a bill from Senate, you have to seek concurrence from the National Assembly. So basically, you become the sponsor of the bill, but before it proceeds to a certain level, it has to be taken to the National Assembly. The National Assembly, through their internal mechanisms, they will go through it and say, this bill should not originate from Senate because it's a money bill.
Yes.
Because another thing guys don't know is that National Assembly handles everything to do with money. So when they say a money bill, it's a piece of legislation that heavily will affect the financial whatever core of that objective, you know.
Yes.
So it becomes a money bill. Now, when it's a money bill, you as senators, you cannot sponsor money bills.
Money bills, you mean?
A money bill, so a bill, first of all, is a piece of legislation. A money bill means a piece of legislation that basically, if I change that part of the law, there's a heavy implication of financial backing. Okay, let me give you an example. For instance, I want to sponsor a bill that will stop pending bills.
Yes.
Because we have a problem of pending bills. We actually had a very good bill for pending bills. And then in that bill, it says that we want to stop the maybe exchequer from issuing this kind of checks. We want to stop. Now, it's heavily, most of the things I'm changing, they are heavily on the side of money, how the taxpayers' money is being controlled. That bill then should come from National Assembly, because National Assembly has the single authority to deal with all pieces of legislation that touch on money. To a certain level. So when I did the whistleblower protection bill, it was about ensuring that anyone who comes out, a whistleblower can be on any level. Any level. It can be on government level. It can be the guys who whistleblow on child abuse. It can be on corrupt policemen, the way we see these people who do videos of the traffic policemen taking bribes from whatever.
Yeah.
A whistleblower can be like the SHA guy. The SHA guy was an auditor. He just audited and he was like, he literally was like, there are 1,300 hospitals receiving money and these hospitals don't exist. That's a whistleblower. A whistleblower can be like whatever Gachagua told us last night. He's a whistleblower.
Yeah.
He told us there's a Nigerian buying Kenya pipeline. Things we don't know, things that if you say, they would highlight corruption, they would highlight illegalities, and they would somehow put you in danger as a threat. Then that bill was seeking to protect the whistleblowers.
Okay.
So that you are not fired, as you have seen with the SHA guy, as you have seen with myself, as you have seen with Gachagua, as you have seen. There are so many people, if you look at their story, huyu alitolewa tu juu alikuwa anasema ukweli. Ali whistleblow. So it was taking up measures to protect the whistleblower, to preserve them, such that they can be able to also participate in the judicial process ya kufunga ule mtu mwenye participate in the corruption or illegality. So that would also help. Ushago unapata baba amebaka msichana mtoto wake.
Yes.
Haya, dada yake wa huyo mwenye amebakwa ndo anataka kwenda kushtaki hiyo maneno. Akienda kushtaki in ushago some other places, unasikia alikuwa 11 ndo ameenda kusema mnashika sister yangu ako 7 years, baba yake anamuoza. You understand?
Yes.
So now she becomes a victim, because now it's like, now in fact you hata wacha tukupeleke uolewe. Ama anauliwa. Ama unapata pia mama anaingia anasema vitu za familia tukae. So how do you protect that person who whistleblows? So that bill was dealing, in fact mtu kama huyu washa angekuwa beneficiary wa hiyo whistleblower.
So
when they looked at
angebenefit
in the sense that number one, hiyo kazi alikuwa ameshikilia, there would be absolutely no way you could have fired him based on him whistleblowing.
Yes.
Number two, the fact that anaonekana yeye ndio whistleblower, there would have been measure to protect him, not only from losing his job but losing his life, because people have lost their lives. People have lost their lives on whistleblowing.
Yes.
I think they lose their lives first.
Yeah. In fact, no, the whistleblower, they lose their lives, or they threaten
before the
to,
job.
or
Before they lose their life first.
And there are people who, or actually, they threaten to whistleblow, they die.
Yes.
They threaten to, anyway. So the point is, mtu kama huyo washa angevutwa kazi. Number two, hata reporting lines zake mahali yako, there would have been a safeguard to ensure that they are not being victimized. Atumeenda kutushtaki sasa, boss wako anashinda akikuvictimize, akikufanyia vitu ndio uchoke uresign. Reporting lines ingekuwa safeguard. There would be some safeguards taken in place for their lives, for every. Na ikifika mwisho waseme mimi naona hata siwezi kufanya kazi hapa, the state would have somehow taken care of him until the point where he gives the evidence and the whole matter is heard and arrests are made and people are convicted. Because that whole gap is the reason why we don't have convictions for many corruption cases. So mtu kama huyo angekuwa beneficiary. Anyway, hiyo bill ikachukuliwa, venye niliandika iende kuseek concurrence in the National Assembly. National Assembly wakasema it's a money bill, so it should not originate from Senate. So nikanyanganywa.
Okay.
Because also the sponsor of a bill determines on how public that bill will become.
Yes.
And if I got a chance to continue with that bill, Kenyans would have understood what I'm trying to do, and Kenyans would have demanded the bill passes. And they didn't want that. The moment they said I cannot continue with it, you see, it died.
Oh, so haiko? Miko nafikiri at least iko kama iko hapa
chini. I don't
chini.
think iko. Hata kama iko saizi najua kuna mtu atakuja kusema she's lying. Iko listed. Itakuwa listed hivyo until 2027.
Did you even mention about it on the floor of the Senate?
We didn't get to first reading because
It
you need
didn't
to
even
get
there.
Yeah, it didn't even get there because you need to get concurrence before now it starts the process internally. It didn't get there.
Alafu najua imebidi nitafute.
Umeelewa? So that's why nasema we need to get a session.
Stage.
We need to get a session where I sensitize Kenyans on how parliament works, because then instead of kuenda kuweka comments where hata kuna bill uli sponsor, they don't even know the half of it, you know.
There are stages
for it to even get there, and those stages is where
exactly.
the cartels live. They camp there, they reside there, they own those stages. That's where they are.
Okay. Alafu najua nini? Mwaga na zaovyo kuna time nikisikiaga a certain word, I always look for it in Swahili. So whistleblower. Nikuwa na-expect kuempuliza virimbi.
Ni nini?
Ni mtoa taarifa.
Taarifa?
Yeah.
Mpuliza.
Inafaa kwa mpuliza firimbi.
Receive threats, by the way.
A lot. And in fact, wacha nikwambie, unaona watu wenye, like now the shy guy who was fired. So now let me tell you, in parliament, do you remember the Bunge Towers story? Bunge Towers.
Yes. Hata nini, kabla tu nini, kusio story za nini kwa takuuliza cause it's making headlines, yani at least hiyo kesi inafaa kusikizwa, is it this week? No, next week. Ya story ya parliament, Bunge Towers.
Bunge Towers.
Yes. But before that, I wanted to clarify a few things, yes? Itumbi came out. So ilikuwa ni Itumbi dismisses media claim on SHA whistleblowers job bid. Yes. So ilikuwa like Itumbi clarified that the officer and auditor said to have uncovered alleged fraud at SHA did not apply for the position of deputy director as reported. Instead, he affirmed that the officer applied for the position of assistant director and has been shortlisted. Nachiki. So anasema he was not fired. So let's just work with that. The government telling us he was not fired. He just
the government
apply for
was that
job.
the government telling us, or that was Itumbi? I was going to ask
Itumbi alikuwa anabonga
what is Itumbi's official position?
Anagonga the head of what?
Thanks.
Something
Nobody even knows.
Head of
what does he do? Itumbi is the head of propaganda. That's what he is. But Itumbi cannot be the person to come out to say this is the position of government, because he is not the government spokesperson. We have a government spokesperson.
Okay.
There are channels. Unajua hiyo ndio ujinga ya hii administration. Wanataka tu kurun show venye walikuwa na run wakiwa huko dini Karen. You can't. You can't. You know, it's like when with high responsibility, high positions, then you also have to be responsible. As a government, do you communicate through Itumbi?
okay cause ilikuwa hivyo like
so mimi sita, I'm not going to address that communication from Itumbi because he's not the government spokesperson. You guys can't even tell me what
he's the head of presidential projects and
so SHA is a presidential project
and creative economy.
So is SHA creative economy or a presidential project?
Okay, damn.
Yeah, so let us get proper communication either from the social health authority, that is SHA, as a statement, or we get communication from the Ministry of Health, because that is the docket that is dealing with these SHA manenas, or we get the government spokesperson to tell us what the position is, or also they keep quiet and we continue making sense of what is. And the thing is that there's someone who whistle blew and he was fired. That's it. And if Itumbi wants to tell us things, watch ambi president amfanya akwe government nini spokesperson. The same way so it's like saying Esther Passaris has said that the policeman is she the official government spokesperson? She's not. How come we don't quote Esther Passaris? So Esther Passaris and Itumbi cannot tell us official government positions. They are not spokespeople. They don't hold any offices of communication in terms of telling the public what is going on. And that is why every time I see Esther Passaris speaking as if she has received a brief from Mwaura, the government spokesperson, we wonder. They wakuje clearly watuambie this, because this is kioski ya mtu. Hii ni serikali, guys. They are watering down every single office in that government. Yeah.
Hakuna vile Esther Passaris alionana ni Ruto akikunywa Fanta. Tuambia
Pepsi.
supporting ni Pepsi.
Yes.
Supporting local manufacturing, and it made me think, can we call food local manufacturing? Because I always find I would not classify to have Pepsi here as part of local manufacturing.
No, it's locally manufactured. Here's my thing.
It is something to be proud of.
My issue was not the content. Mimi nilikaa hapa nilikama ilikuwa kwa Ubina. Kuna mahali nilikaa nikawaambia shida ya Passaris ni FOMO, fear of missing out.
Yes.
That is why mi ushainiona nikicomment juu ya ball ati Manchester United I don't know nothing about football.
Cause Passaris
I don't know nothing about football.
Oh my god.
Unaelewa, like I'm not a
Yes.
I know nothing about football. I'm not going to start pretending ati because nasikia saini season ya ball saizi ni. I mean, the most I'll do is like those who know about football wakin invite niende ku watch ball. Nitaenda si ku watch, nitaenda nikae chini nikunywe, but sita watch because I don't want to let's not pretend. Aya, anataka comment ball. Anataka comment alafu president amekuwa agricultural society of show nitaandika this is a nice picture, let me talk about it's fear of missing out. Imagine sometimes you don't even need to say anything. By the way, Chan happened and I was following on the sidelines. I wasn't like Chan Dani, unaona?
Yes.
Like I was following, like it's a good thing to see Kenyan athletes, whatever is going on, unajua. But ungenipata hapo ati jukuna game leo ya ball ya nani na nani Kenya wanacheza na comment. Mi sijui anything about football and I'm not going to start pretending now for politics. You understand? So now Passaris will comment about everything. I've even been waiting for her to comment about the cocaine highway. Mbona hiyo imemshinda?
Hiyo si ndio inaleta shida.
Si kama anataka kucomment juu ya Pepsi, si ya comment juu ya haya, nilikuwa na expect juzi kuna mama ameumwa mpaka masikio imetoka. Sijaona akiongea anything. Mimi sijaona, na I could be wrong, but sijaona Passaris akisema GBV nini na walikula 900,000 each juu ya pesa ya femicide. Vitu zenye anafaa kuwa na comment, zenye anafaa
selector 900,000
vitu zenye anafaa kuwa on top of it.
Tuongee juu GBV. What happened? 900,000.
Si watu walikula pesa ikaenda, simuliona ukisema we are walking, sijui we are doing, wengine wakafanya gatherings, wengine wakaenda Nairobi University wakaita watu wakasema wachaneni kupigana. 900k.
What was that about?
100 million was divided to all the women members of parliament.
Yes.
And everyone got 900,000 from it.
Or to do anti-GBV.
To talk to people wasichapane, you tell me.
That's bullshit. Because I think that can
money
be addressed.
should have gone to the gender desks.
Yeah, nata mngeita hiyo vile, even if it ended up as a money bill. Because to me I always say GBV ya Kenya is because there is very few consequences.
Aya, kuna mtoto mwingine before ni sahau. Kuna mtoto amepotea for like sijui was it a whole week kama nini. Sijasikia Passaris akiongea na mtoto ni wapa Nairobi. Haongei. Passaris agenda kumtafuta. Huyu mama anafaa, yani vitu anafaa kuongea, vitu zenye zina sit squarely in her docket. Hana rada na hiyo, lakini wacha tuonyeshe football. Guys na jazi na nini, I'm like come on guys, hii enzi ya kuvotia warembo na watu wa dimples, imagine Nairobians, you need to stop, because then you come back to us and you're like, oh, si ninyi ndo mlikuwa mnataka mrembo, mlikuwa mnataka watu wako na haga na watu ni warembo, ni wa light skin, au ndio mnataka wa represent Nairobi, watu wako na dimples, watu mbwegeze na muna swim Nairobi, muna swim Nairobi, muna swim. Sahi kukinyesha hapa hivi kidogo hapa kama ni matu tunaenda kupanda, itabidi sahi tuanze kutafuta floaters, lakini mbwegeze.
So acha nikwambie kwa nini I had a problem with this statement, because the president savoring the taste of Pepsi in style, a gesture of support for manufacturing in Kenya and products that create employment for our youth, not just a sip of a drink but a sip of hope, patriotism and economic progress. And then we had the president drinking soda. One thing lazima to understand, first of all,
you heard him, you will escape.
Yeah, waliweka pia hiyo.
Damn, sounds like an advertisement to me. I'm just like, this is a lot of
Okay,
nonsense.
so kuna chali aliandika, ukiendelea hivi soon ukimsifu akienda choo, something like his determination to poop is a sign of resilience amidst tough economic times. It's not just a lump of poop but a symbol of concreteness, patriotism and good gut health.
Kenyans.
And a sign of liveliness. Unacheki, like, first of all, I think, I don't know why, but when I think about manufacturing, and this is something I'd want to, because useme, when you think about manufacturing, is story kama food production, especially soda, something that we've done before with Akina Softa. Do you look at it as manufacturing? Because me, I think, basi, my definition of manufacturing is different. Like,
you see, for me what I look as local manufacturing is that there is a product that starts from scratch zero and ends up as a complete product, and all those processes are done locally.
Yes.
And I don't care whether that is mixing 3 chemicals to make them a soda. It was done locally. And that is You know why I look at it that way?
Yes.
Because those 3, 4, 10, 15, 1,000 people who are mixing those chemicals are Kenyans, and it was here in Kenya. Yes. As long as that part, you're creating jobs here, you're doing most of the work here. Even assembly of vehicles, right? You look at it as local manufacturing.
Yes.
You look at it as local assembling, yet all the pieces come in imported, but you have an assembly plant. As long as there's that job creation in that assembly plant, as in there's some level of recognizing some of these jobs can be done locally.
Yes.
Then I look, but even for me, that statement, everything about that statement is good. My issue is patriotism. Everything about it, by the way. Even hata kama ulisema walieka soundtrack ya yeye akikunywa hiyo soda, that's fine. My only issue is, Pasaris, what's your job? What's your job? Because
she's a cheerleader.
Because that job that she has recently taken on, to be honest, that is Itumbi's job. So are you going to leave women in Nairobi because you and Itumbi are doing the same job?
Damn.
Yeah. And then not only Itumbi's job, you have what's the other comms guy in State House, who used to work for Citizen, I forget his name, Hussein.
Talam. Oh.
Yeah. What is Hussein going to do, Pasaris? You're taking up Hussein's job. Yeah. And you even said Talam. You're taking up Talam's job. This is why you're fighting with a lot of people in State House. Like, you're taking their jobs. And then now that you're doing that job, what about the bloggers for the president? What job are they going to do?
Yes.
Because you're also now doing the bloggers' job. And then you've left your job. You've left your job completely vacant, and that's the one that we are paying you to do.
Nilimwona hata kwa construction site. Nilimwona akisema, I don't like that sijui paint. You over there.
Oh, okay. Damn.
So talking of construction, like a personal,
yes, Aziz,
I'm just saying, Pasaris is a good person. She tries her best. She has lost the plot. She has taken up other people's jobs, right? And her job is vacant now. Yeah, people are like, Pasaris, where are you? Yeah.
Alafu kwanza ni kabla toke kwake, the women rep position, does it have maximum terms ama?
No.
You aneza she can run for it forever.
Yeah, because it's a member of parliament. It's a constituency. The constituency is women representation. So yeah.
Okay. Because tukitoka hapo mtaka tubonge juu ya construction, because umebonga juu ya construction. So one of the cases that's supposed to kuendelea hii mwezi October ni case ya kuna msanitua ni Joseph Gusino Mugeni na kuna James Morioki Isaac versus the Parliamentary Service Commission. Sindio? Na hawa watu kesi yao ni story na Bunge Towers because there was the whole Bunge Towers like scandal, sindio? So we mwenyewe I think to a certain level you've been a vocal critic wa Bunge Towers. So from your perspective shida ya Bunge Towers ilikuwa nini? Because it looks like a very good idea.
No, it's not even a good idea. This is the one, and you know me, I'm coming from a construction and architectural background.
Yes.
It's never a good idea to take all your VIPs and put them in one building. I mean, if I want to kill these people, I just have to bomb Bunge Towers during session.
Damn, okay.
You don't do that. And even that's why, because, I mean, you do that, then if you're going to do that, you make sure security is like next level security. How many state funerals are you going to have if you bomb parliament? I mean, just hypothetically speaking.
Sipatia Kenya hiyo idea. Kenya vile wanachukiaga wanasiasa.
So, even when you say it's a good idea, it was never a good idea to have one building in the middle of the central business district,
housing
all your members of parliament. And right by that building is even an expressway. You know, when you're on the expressway, there are some offices muneza high-five-iana hivi na Bunge Towers. I mean, the security gaps that are in Bunge Towers, nikianza kuambia leo, I am afraid the terrorists from wherever will come and bomb Bunge Towers. It's just insane. It's just completely insane. So first, it was never a good idea. Whoever came up with that idea to have all of them, not a good idea. In fact, what they probably would have done is said, okay, we're going to have, let's say, 4 sets of offices. A set this in Upper Hill, another set where, another just within the vicinity, and then they're going to rotate it depending on maybe the committees you sit in or the ones you don't sit in, or things like that. So that it's also you never put all your eggs in one basket. You sort of minimize the risk and spread it out. So Bunge Towers was never a good idea. Start from there. So the second thing is that when Bunge Towers started, as with many things in anyone's manifesto or anyone's thinking, especially Kenyans, is that it was more of a business perspective than it was an end user thing. So the business of Bunge Towers was that it's going to be a massive building. And in this massive building, we are going to make money from the construction. You get? So the budget started at 5 billion. 5 billion Kenya shillings.
Ilikuwa 5.8. 5.89 billion.
5.89 billion.
And it ballooned to 9.6.
We finished at 9.6 billion. Yeah, and we finished after how many years? Because it started like
in 2014.
2013 or something. And we finished at 25.
So it took 14 years, the project.
Exactly. Yeah, 14, 15 years to be done. And what you have to understand, you need to, in those 14 years, you have to ask yourself, who is the constant beneficiary of the construction of Bunge Towers? If you ask yourself who is the constant beneficiary of the construction of Bunge Towers, then you will come to understand why this gentleman, Joseph, and his colleague, James, were, let me say, technically fired from their jobs.
Because reason nimefanya ni bring up his story because I'm also looking at them as whistleblowers.
They are whistleblowers.
But nataka tuende step by step. So initial budget ni 5.89. Final figure ni 9.6 billion. So I'd want to understand, how do budgets work ikikam to like budget kai ikiwa 5.89, who has approved it at the beginning? Parliament approves it.
Yes, when they do the finance bill, Parliament approves. Parliament approves this, and every single time they bring the proposal, they'll come and say, we have not finished this, we thought it would cost us this. Everyone brings their budget. All the ministries, all the projects that are ongoing, they bring their budget. Including Parliamentary Service Commission that has the budget to run Parliament. They'll bring their budget. So every year that the building is not complete, there is a contractor that is active. Not one contractor, several contractors who are active. Every year that the building is not complete, every year there is a budget that is being allocated to that building. 14 years of that. So what would happen is that they would come back and put a budget for Bunge Towers. We're building Bunge Towers, put a budget, Bunge Towers. And which is so weird because from a construction and a building perspective, anyone who's within the spaces of architecture and construction, they'll tell you that you get your floor plans, you go to a quantity surveyor, the quantity surveyor gives you a bill of quantities.
Yes.
The bill of quantities is basically this design the way it is. This is how much you're going to use to build it in terms of concrete, cement, if you're doing precast.
Yes.
So by the time a professional looks at the design, then they tell you this design will cost you 5.6 or 5.8 billion.
Yes.
Even if there's a variance, it should
Haiwezi
not
enda
come
mbaya.
to 9.6 billion.
Yes, because nearly double.
Variances in construction come about, and this is now how I want to explain it. Kama uko kwa mjengo uanze kujenga ufike mahali pesa ishe na hujaweka roof. Kukaa hivyo kulikuwa na zile mambao zilikuwa pale kwa roof na nini kunanyesha, kuna nini, zingine zitaoza. Ile siku utapata pesa utakuja unajipata unafanya repairs.
Yes.
Before sasa uweke roof. Unaelewa? So the more a construction project lags, the more expenses you incur, justifiably so.
Yes.
Another thing that was happening in Bunge Towers, contractors would bring materials in, and the materials would be stolen, either by design or by however.
Of course.
And when the materials are stolen, we go back to the drawing board. It's a nini.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a belt, conveyor belt.
But
So the expenses that were happening because mbona tu hamumalizi hii building ishe watu waingie. The more it is under construction, the more there's opportunities for money to be looted.
It took 10 years.
14
years.
I think because ilianzaga when, but ilianza 2014 ama. Because I think it was approved.
Check.
It was approved in 2012. Approved in 2012. Yes.
It was approved in 2012.
Yes.
In 2013, they did groundbreaking.
Yes.
Anyway, go on the details. Definitely more than 10 years. You just go and see.
Mistake. Yes.
Now, here's the thing.
It got officially opened when before when
March.
April.
It was
2024.
April 2024.
Yes, last
April
year.
2024.
So
And
it's around 10 years.
March
Yes.
is when so the story goes like this. Finally, they get even before we reach March, there's a supplementary budget that was pushed by the National Assembly to complete Bunge Towers.
Yes.
I need Kenyans to know this. Parliament is under Parliamentary Service Commission. Parliamentary Service Commission is the organization that runs Parliament. Parliamentary Service Commission is divided into two. Has wings. So it has the National Assembly. That's where you get the MPs sitting of single constituencies and women. Then it has the Senate.
Yes.
And those are two houses. Literally, physically, there's the Senate House and then there's the National Assembly. Yes. And the budgets run in those two silos. So budget ya Parliament ikienda, kuna budget ya Senate na budget ya National Assembly.
Yes.
And then there is this very weird, illegal creation called a joint services. Yani mtu tu aliamka kwa like, tupatie nani job, sasa tutamfanyaje? Okay. Instead of Senate kudeal na projects zake na National Assembly kudeal na projects zake, wacha tuweke this thing called joint services zenye na deal na all projects. Unaona? So there's Senate, National Assembly, and a thing called joint services.
Oh, okay.
Joint services is a creation by cartels to basically steal money. Because they are in charge of all projects in Parliament. So they are also in charge of Bunge Towers.
Okay.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah.
They are also in charge of contracts such as some contracts like private security. There's also a contract for sijui evacuation of VIPs. Yani wanaweza kaivi chini wako like, tuni contract gani tunaweza tafuta integrated system management wanaeka. So they are like this this thing
tunaenda
that
kurudi
moonlight.
tutarudi kwa Bunge
Sasa-
Towers.
sasa
There's something we mentioned staki tusahau. Evacuation
Evacuation.
of
Kuna
MPs.
kuna contractor akona kazi yake. Ni in case of an emergency,
Yes.
they get millions every year to evacuate VIPs.
So vile hiyo time
Wewe uliona kuna
Was
mtu
it before?
vile
alivyotiwa?
kalinuka on
Uliona kama kuna mtu
June 25th.
ameevacuatiwa?
Sino nakuuliza.
Wewe uliona mtu kama Christina
'Cause-
Sige and she's blind, he had to say then I saw some shadows and she had to evacuate herself.
There was even an MP on wheelchair.
The MP for wheelchairs, they gave testimonies.
Damn.
And yet kuna
See.
mtu ameka mahali akona contract ya evacuation of VIPs. There's
You
a
know,
lot of
nataka
weird contracts.
see, unajua kitu moja
Did it
Gloria,
exist
see,
before?
check
It has been in existence.
Gloria, ukimention hizi vitu you're mentioning them very fast. Let's slow down.
I want us to
Sisi
talk
hatujui
about
hizi
Bunge
vitu
Towers.
zizi na tunabonga juu ya Bunge Towers. You have to understand, like for us we know nothing about parliament.
Kuna
You understand?
contract.
Sisi tunajua nothing about parliament.
Okay.
But June 25th happened, and June 25th will go down in Kenya's history as a very iconic day. But kilo natuambia ni there is a budget for evacuation of MPs.
Yep.
So what
And
sort of
it's not-
scenarios
and it's
are we
not
looking
at
at?
200k budget, it's a millions budget.
What sort of scenario are we looking at? Why would we need to evacuate?
They had anticipated, like I said, putting all VIPs in one building. Someone can bomb you, they can be an active shooter,
okay.
they can be whatever scare, you know, a chemical affair. There's a time people had food poisoning. They can be, it is a risk assessment that was done, and they were like, hey, at one point we should be able to evacuate the VIPs.
But that's
right?
for Bunge Towers.
No,
Even parliament.
all of parliament.
Oh, okay.
You know, Bunge Towers is parliament. It's a precinct of parliament.
Yes.
The Bunge Towers, Senate, National Assembly, that is all parliaments. Those are parliament buildings.
Yes.
That is why now I can't even access Bunge Towers where my office is, and someone has even changed the keys of my office because it's a precinct of parliament, and they have barred me from accessing parliament. Yeah. So there's a person with a contract for evacuating. Did you see anyone being evacuated?
So hii tunnel, niliona ile tunnel. Hii tunnel ina connect Bunge Towers na nini yao?
No, hiyo tunnel ina connect pali tunaendanga kazini, which is chambers na Bunge Towers,
Yes.
where is our offices. Yeah.
So
that we don't have
kakinuka
to
mnaingia hapo.
walk, so that we don't have, so the idea of it, which is I think it's an okay idea, is that you don't have to leave your office
Yes. Unaweza kuwa tu hapo chini.
and then walk outside tao ukienda tena chambers.
Yes.
Cause hii kitu hata musiseme, the truth of the matter is ukitoka tu hivi tao,
Yeah, utaanza
kuna watu
kuombwa.
tu wanakuanga hapo nje wakikuitisha pesa.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And you know, uwezi anza kusema sina tokeni hapa nini, because you can't. So inamaanisha then basi mtupe budget ya kupea watu pesa tukitoka kwa ofisi tukienda nini. You know what I mean? So it was trying to create like, so that you are focused when you're in parliament. You can't start saying you are distracted.
Tunatoka
So
kwa
that's Bunge
history.
Towers.
Tunatoka
So
kwa
now,
history ya evacuation. Nataka
tutoke
tubonge
kwa
juu ya
hiyo
Bunge
story.
Towers.
Eh.
Tutaenda kubonga juu ya
Turudi
Bunge
Bunge
Towers.
Towers.
The last question naenda kukuuliza juu ya evacuation ni who has this contract? Because I'm assuming if VIPs are being evacuated, this should be a government project. They should be like a special
No,
branch.
that's where I was explaining to you.
Eh.
The way Bunge Parliament runs, Parliamentary Service Commission gets a budget. You see this budget for financial year ya every parastatal and everyone hadi ministries na nini. Pia kuna budget ya parliament.
Yes.
Na hiyo budget inaketa everything. Itaketa projects, itaketa salaries, inaketa traveling allowances. Yani parliament inakuja inasema, sisi for this financial year we need, let's say 70 billion Kenya shillings. Then once that money comes to parliament as a whole, as Parliamentary Service Commission,
Yes.
then in that commission there is the Senate, there is the National Assembly,
Okay.
and then there's a thing called joint services.
The middleman.
The fake thing.
Yes.
It is an illegal thing. Now that joint services, what it does, that joint services, hiyo imemandatiwa kufanya projects. What they are calling projects ni kama, for instance, sijui tuna change sound system ya Bunge Towers, kitu kama hiyo. Unanielewa? Yani wana creating mavitu alafu sasa au wanapewa kazi. But sasa Senate pia iko na budget yake, na kwa budget ya Senate iko na vitu zingine zenye, for instance Senate inaweza kununua viti mpya za lounge. Hiyo si ya joint services, hiyo
Yeah.
under Senate. So unanipata? Yeah. So Bunge Towers, why I was explaining this is so that you understand. The media did an expose when we were just about to launch Bunge Towers. The media did an expose showing that in fact the building is not complete.
And
They were talking about tumemaliza 9.6 billion and the building is complete.
Yes.
So, and then also we have come from 5.8 to 9.6 billion. And the president was coming to launch it.
Yes.
So media got wind that this thing is not complete. Hata
Yes.
mkikuja hapa mtajionea haijaisha. So media and journalists are very proactive. They found their way into the Bunge Towers.
Yes.
And they were able to showcase. If you see the Citizen TV story,
Yes.
and the NTV story, unaona wanaonyesha all the things that they found. Even they found substandard work. They found a lot of crazy things in there. Now, these two gentlemen,
Yes.
Joseph and James, happened to be on duty.
Oh, it time was immediately.
These are security officers
Oh, okay.
of parliament. They happened to be on duty.
Duty, yes.
These two gentlemen happened to be on duty when the journalist did the story and when people were talking to the media. So what happened is there was a big panic. This was a big panic from all the big shots of parliament.
Yes.
And I've told you, when I say big shots of parliament,
PSC.
Parliamentary Service Commission, there's a chairman. You know, the chairman of the Parliamentary Service Commission is the Speaker of the National Assembly.
Oh, that's now Wetangula. Yes.
Is the chairman. The secretary of the commission is Jeremiah Nyegenye, who he also doubles up as the clerk
Yes.
of the Senate. He's the secretary to the commission. And then you have commissioners who are who we choose. Like now we have 2 commissioners from the Senate, and then we have some commissioners from the National Assembly. Sasa hao wanafaa represent the interests of the members because it's a commission. But tunajua most of the time wakifika huko wanakulwa na cartel, wana represent interests zao. So now what happened, they panicked because that time the media was showing that hata hiyo 9.6 billion yenye mmaliza
bado chapata good product.
Yes.
nyumba. So there was that angle. There was also an angle of why did it take this long and who are the beneficiaries of this prolonged construction.
Yes.
So the big shots of parliament waka panic like we need to showcase, give an example. We need to make an example of someone so that anyone who's sitting in an office with information should not dare even share the information as to which contractor is being paid, how that contractor is connected to who in the commission, nini. So wali panic tu, hii kitu ikiendelea hivi na tusipopanish mtu, other people will come out now with the real information. So Joseph and James happen to be security officers. I'm sorry to say this, but the lowest in the chain of events at this moment. So what happened is immediately they were called in, and then they were...
So this immediately after the report, after the
yeah,
expose.
so on the exposure, alafu wakaitwa, then wakapewa mabarua za show cause. So you know, in a workplace, show cause letter is basically kuja ujieleze. Enda useme, there's an allegation here kuja ujieleze. But the same day wamepatiwa barua ya show cause, ya enda ujieleze kama ni ukweli ama si uongo, pia wakapewa barua za kuwa interdict. Za basically uko suspended. Which even according to the HR practices, siwezi kakupatia barua ya show cause leo, unafaa uende useme oh my god uweke kesi pamoja kuja reply useme mimi sikufanya nini. Before hata uja reply umesuspendiwa. Reason being that they were considered a threat to now the privilege information that is in parliament. What they are calling the privilege information is like hao watu wanaweza kuanika vitu nyingi, so wakasuspendiwa, wakaambiwa hand over your nini vitu za office nini tokeni. That was in April 8th of April.
Yes.
Oh, that's 4 days. That's 4 days after the launch.
2024.
Okay.
Even Nation TV ran a story saying kuna hao watu wamevutwa ati wameekelewa, hao ndio walienda kuambia journalists, again an issue of whistleblowing. But the worst thing about this is that they actually didn't do it. But the powers that be were threatened. Walikuwa nasikia rumors za watu wanataka kulipwa hiki tuambie Kenyans how pesa imekulwa. And by the way, if you go and listen, I will try and even send you some of the clips. I personally was speaking about Bunge Towers before we launched it. How there's a security, there are many security lapses, how some offices don't even have windows, munakaa ni kama munakaa kwa store, how nini. Mimi as an architect, I was so surprised on my floor where my office is. Kuna mlango ulikuwa unafungua, it leads to nowhere. It's a door, you open the door and there's a wall. Damn. As an architect, you know what that means? Kuna contractor alikuwa anataka kuleta milango China. So milango zikaekwa kila mahali. Can you imagine a door you open, there's no room? So maybe you wanted to supply 75,000 doors. Na sasa milango za hii
you must
ni kama
look for a space to fit it.
Milango, if I'm lying, by the way, honestly speaking, there are doors you open, they don't even lead to service ducts or whatever. Unafungua uko like nini, there's no room here, there's nothing, why is there a door here, complete with a lock and keys. So it was about making money on supplies, on contracts, on the construction, on variations of timings and delivery. Because also, you know, background construction, when there's a variation in timing, there's some penalties. Nini, yani kuna vitu nyingi. Yani kanga tu kijua construction ikidelay, pesa tu inakuliwa.
Yes.
So now these two guys happened to be on duty when the journalists did the story. Wakasingoliatiwa, wakatagetiwa, and they were supposed to be they were being used to make an example for the rest of the security officers who thought that they would even gather the courage to speak to anyone or show anyone all the illegalities and the corruption that was going on. Here's the funny story, and I want you to see a trend, and this trend is being practiced by the accounting officer. I can say this outrightly. Unaonyesha tu kakichwa hivi ati wewe mimi msinitumie, mimi sitaki kufanya corruption, me I want to be part of your thing, me I'm not going to sleep with you, mimi msiniingize hizo vipindi. Show cause letter. Before you know it, suspension. And then the suspensions are not normal suspensions. These people, their suspension was supposed to facilitate the investigations of their disciplinary. That should take 90 days. It took almost 2 years. As we speak, wako nje.
Kitu nataka kuuliza, kwani hatukuwa tunajua se? Like we know about so many people, but history ya ni Joseph Gusino na James Murioki
kuna journalist
imekuwa chini ya maji.
Kuna journalist mwenye alifanya, mwenye alipelekea NTV story. My friend wa journalist hata pale yuko saizi sijui. Wacha nikwambie, hiyo ndo nimeshinda nikiwaambia, the journalists they are doing their jobs. It's not the journalists with the problem,
it's the editors.
Ikifika kwa newsroom inazimwa kwa sababu newsroom ako on payroll, huyo editor ako on payroll. So NTV actually did a story, wakaichungulia kidogo and then ikazimwa everywhere. Ikazimwa. Na unajua wanazimaje? Very simple. Wewe uko na ile pesa, zile pesa ndakuambia. In fact, we need a series of parliament.
The money that I will tell you that is
spent in parliament for all sorts of craziness. We have in Senate, we have one accounting officer.
Yeah.
Then that's the clerk of the Senate.
Because kuna hii transcript. Cheki, kuna hii transcript, yes? So the transcript ilikuwa, saa shida ni yule sijui majina, but ilikuwa like what's been going on here. I'm being undermined by these two officers. Hii sasa ni Mugino na nani mgeni.
Sasa tuacha before useme hii. Sasa hawa si wakafukuzwa wakaenda. Then I think they started realizing through my cases, because I have cases in labor, wakaanza kuona hatuwezi kukua tu hiki tu inaweza kuja tu itunini. Wakaitwa wakaambiwa atirudini kazini. Wakaambiwa atisikiza, and this was way beyond 90 days, way beyond all the illegal things have been done in terms of labor, of labor rights and employee rights. So wakaanza kuona hiki tu ni ngori, because you know I took the clerk, I have sued him about that thing where he stopped my salary. Likatu chini akasema amenikasirikia akaniachisha salary yangu. So I went to labor court. So I think my thinking of it is when they started seeing, oh my god, some people are taking action, pia itakuja hii ituchome. Wakaitwa, wakaambiwa by the way kujeni, lakini kesi yenu bado hatujamaliza kuinvestigate. Lakini rudini, so mkaange mkijua tujamaliza kuinvestigate, lakini murudi. Now, when they came back on that week, they came back. These guys, they are security officers. They report to the director of security. Some guy, bully guy. Yani, kama singekuwa mheshimiwa ningesema tu mtu bloody fucking. It's a guy who is just a bully. He's the director of security. He's called Majimbo.
Yes.
So that is their boss. So when these people came back, now again my whistleblower protection bill Majiba would have protected these guys, because when you whistleblow, the first thing that happens, your bosses start becoming hostile. So when waliambiwa aburudini ilianza kukani kama kuna mtu anaenda I think they thought I knew about the in-depth of it. By that time sikuwa nimepata story kabisa. So wakawarudisha haraka, kujeni job. When you walirudi, they are met with this bully in the name of the director of security, because he is a bully. And he then goes ahead to call all the staff, the security personnel, and with these guys are there, and then he gives these two guys a dress down, you know, a proper dress down. si nimekutumia kitu umeona
Yeah.
He gives
So,
them
kile nashindwa-
hata ukisoma transcript
Yes.
unaona kuna pata anasema I am scale 15 nyinyi mnanijua nini yani ile kitu ya intimidation and fear alafu he goes ahead to tell the whole team how watu wawili huyu Joseph na James are as good as useless no one should take any kind of instructions or whatever from them that is now the workplace these people are supposed to come back as supervisors mkubwa wako ashaambia watu wako chini yako hata hawa msiwasikize hiyo ni job gani umerudi
So, kile natrai kuunderstand ni what did Majiba want akina Mugeni to do alikuwa anataka wa stop the journalists from
in the
showing.
audio you hear Majiba saying sisi tunajaribu kutengeneza alafu munaanza something like kuchafua yani basically you are
telling... by any chance kuna hapa
nitakuforwardia hiyo audio
kicheza tu kidogo hapa kwa nini
okay just listen
being undermined by these two officers. Wamevuruga hii directorate, left, right, center. Every time sisi tunapoesha moto. Sasa imefika wakati kila mtu afanye chenye anajua vizuri better. So from now henceforth, don't take any instructions from the beginning and I'm saying this openly so that it can be understood. I am the director in charge of this director. Na mtu hawezi kuwa anakaa my director kufanya vitu ambazo za kulijiba. So I want that to be very clear. And from now this that is not going to be in charge of Bunge Tower and again is not going to be in charge of Congo. Going to give very clear instructions to us that because kama mtu ameamua kupigana vita na mimi nia yangu Majiba and I'm the director of this. In fact, this director na nimepatiwa na hii commission. The commission sat and saw me working from the time I reported here at scale 12 mpaka says I'm at scale 15 and nobody he who is here can challenge that because it is something that was given to me by right. Na siwezi kuwa mimi nakaa you are getting very bad influence from the same people mpaka inafika to an extent that now it's open war. So let us fight a war. And I'm telling you openly, let us fight a war. Bring it up. Come baby. Give me scale 15. I am in scale 15. And I was given scale 15 because of my capacity. Let's go scale 8. So get out of this place. I don't want to see you dealing with these waters. And I'm going to instruct the policemen as well. And wait for my deployment then. The two of you.
Okay.
So what's a scale 15? Scale ni like rank or something.
Yeah, sasa basically anawambia ni venye nezaambia mi ni senator mnajua mi ni nani hivyo and this is when they've just now been told to come back to work and why were they told to come back to work someone started telling them you know I went to labor court acha nikwambie kitu imefanyika hizi vitu zenye zimenifanyikia let me tell you I've liberated so many staff members because now ushaika mahali umenyanyaswa na unajua there's nothing you can do and then you start seeing actually there's something I can do actually I can take these people to labor court actually we can so when they started realizing watu wanaanza kujanjaruka ndo walirudishwa otherwise they had their suspension was way beyond the normal HR nini whatevers and then if you look at the process there are some documents when you're told uko na kesi ya kukuja kujibu there's some documents which you ask for because nani amekwambia uko na kesi apparently there's a committee that sat and decided James and Joseph are guilty of something
yes
and when they sat they deliberated before they decided so if you're coming to answer to a case that committee or whatever decided the first thing is can they give you the minutes so that you even know because there's no complainant the complainant is the committee so you even know how it came about they decided you are guilty so that you can prepare a defense guess who is the custodian of anything even minutes He's the clerk of the Senate.
Okay.
Because he is the custodian of the... So wakanyimwa hizo vitu. The same thing happened to me. When, for me, in my suspension, there's no complainant. I didn't fight with anyone in parliament the way you've seen people fighting. Then there's a complainant. Alafu muna suspendiwa nini nini. There was no complainant. The complainant was apparently a committee that sat. Till today, there is no existence of minutes of that committee or who even sat in that committee.
Okay.
Because there's no committee. The clerk decided, wrote, he has been in there so many years, 11 plus years, he knows how to need the whatever. So the same thing may happen here with you. The directors, the people above, they know how to work the system in their favor. So when they asked for the minutes of that particular meeting that found that there is a problem, there are no minutes, there's no record of the same, but somehow they are now in a disciplinary motion.
Rewind kidogo because nataka to understand hii kitu. So I want us to talk about two things. First of all, the Parliamentary Service Commission.
Yes.
Na pia nataka tubongejia security at Bunge Towers. But before tubongejia PSC, wacha tuanze na hii security. If right now, mimi ni Mwafrika, Iko Nini, I go to Bunge Towers, what are the security process ndio niingie mpaka niweze kufilm? Because I want to see how culpable akina mgeni are. Because I'm assuming it's not only 2 officers in that whole building.
No.
So nikifika kwa gate, who am I finding at the gate?
First, there are layers of security. That's another thing that no one has ever understood. You have a group of people called sergeant at arms.
Yes.
Those people have been trained to deal with VIPs. They've been trained on how parliament procedures work. So those people are the ones who know how to guide VIPs.
Okay.
That's one level of security. Then we have a private security contractor on top of that. The private security contractor is now security officers who, all these people, their mandates, they have the same mandate. It is just that kuna mtu lazima pewe contract.
Yes.
So there's a private security also that has security officers that do the same thing that the sergeant at arms do.
Yes.
Now on top of that, we have GSU.
Okay.
That's more often than not are there.
Okay.
Then sometimes we have APs who come from that
So
station that is there.
kwa gate unapata GSU.
Unapata kila mtu. Kila
Yes.
mtu ako kwa
Oh,
gate.
they are there.
Lakini
Na hata issue yenye, acha nikwambie, issue yenye iko na hata clarity imekuja hapa towards the end. Issue yenye iko, when Bunge Towers came, all the security personnel fought for it. The sergeant at arms wanted to be in charge. The private security wanted to be in charge. The GSU and whatever wanted to be in charge. By the way, when we were entering the building, NYS was there also. Yeah, NYS, GSU. Kulikuwa na yani unafikanga hapo unashangata unaanzaje. So there was before it took almost more than 6 months after we entered Bunge Towers for that whole issue of security to be sorted. When we entered Bunge Towers, even we as members of parliament, you never used to know who we are dealing with. By the way, can I tell you this? People like Akina Mandago fought security. Because unafika Bunge Towers, kuna private security nataka kukwambia vitu, GSU wako hapo pia hao wamejikuja. They were all fighting for that gig. The sergeant at arms are also, so there was often so much confusion and chaos. This guy, when the Citizen TV feature was, when the Citizen TV feature was running, it was the same. Everyone was there. NYS including was part of the team.
So wezi blame hao ile.
In fact, hata unafaa uanzie who has the mandate. Mpaka leo Bunge Towers hiyo moja enye saizi wiko, at least hii imekuwa streamlined, they've been able to separate some dockets. You know, like kwa mlango kuna watu utapata ukipita na ukimalizana na hao mbele utapata you know, they've tried, but still even now there's confusion. How you know there's confusion? When Gen Z broke into parliament, who was the person in charge? Who was the one commanding security?
Sijui ni wana.
By the way, just as I digress kidogo before nirudi kwa Joseph na James wenye wamevutwa illegally because tu kuna mtu alikuwa amepanic, vitu zake zinaanza kufika mwisho. When Gen Z happened, one of the things that I kept on saying was very strange. We normally have bodyguards as MPs.
Yes.
When we were assigned offices in Bunge Towers, some of us really complained about the structure of how things are running.
Yes.
Sasa zingine ulikuwa unafika Bunge Towers hapo kwa entrance, I swear to God unapata watu kama 200. Ukiingia ndani kwa lift, munasukumana kwa lift, hata ujui ni akina nani hao, because it's a public building. Because there are so many offices, everyone has visitors, there are people, there's staff members, there's what you understand.
Yes.
So one day, there's an incident I don't want to discuss here that happened that actually threatened milioni nilikuwa nimetumiwa mtu. By the way, na si ati naongea juju. Unajua MCA, kuna huyu MCA wa Kisii aliyekuwa tu daga mara 2 na akakufa. You understand? So I brought that thing in the floor of the house and I'm like, I'm sorry guys, but we have a security breach.
Yes.
because we don't know, we can't restrict the people coming into Bunge Towers, but we also don't know who the Bunge Tower, the people we are around, especially kwa lift na corridor. So mi nikasema, alafu on top of that, something very peculiar, all our bodyguards were not allowed to enter Bunge Towers. They're still not allowed to enter. We leave our bodyguards outside. Now that time is when I was fighting kabisa na clerk wa Senate. Actually it's around that time pia alikuwa ameanza kung'ang'ana ku make sure sijui nitatolewa msharanga. So I was feeling like, unajua hiyo ni space yake. Hiyo hapo ndio everything ana run show huko. So mimi nilikuwa mbona mnakata niingie na bodyguard wangu. So bodyguards are not allowed to enter. Bodyguards stay outside. But somehow,
outside wapi sasa?
Nje ya Bunge Towers.
So outside like wingia ta through gate.
Wewe ukiingia Bunge Towers bodyguards wote wanakwanga nje.
So nje ya gate ndio nasema.
Huko kwa parking. Wanakwanga kwa parking. And that's why I'm saying kuna vitu zingine nitaongea hapa, hata kuna watu kama wako na ngori na ma MP. Sasa ni kama ninawapatia form. Msichukue hiyo form. So bodyguards wanakwanga nje. You're also not allowed to enter armed. Those who are armed.
Yes.
So if there's a place where a member of parliament is the most vulnerable,
hapo Bunge Towers.
ni Bunge Towers. Hapo ndo unaweza mdunga kisu. Hapo
But
ndo unaweza mchapa magumi.
Awenyo ingiagi lakini sio ingi na kana.
Yeah,
kuna MP kuna MP asha kuja hapa iko.
Labda uko kichwa ngumu, kuna kama mimi nilifika mahali niko kichwa ngumu, I was like hapa mnataka kunimaliza na sitakufia hapa. Ilibidi nikuwe kichwa ngumu ndio upite na weapon ama mtu ako na weapon.
Yaani uko unatembea na mguu wa kuku?
No, mimi sinanga gun. I'm not a licensed gun holder. But ilifika mahali nilieka kichwa na nikapita na bodyguard wangu.
Okay.
Because I was like, you guys munanipangia njama na nimewaona. Because something happened, I can't talk about it, but something happened and we sat
maybe
down.
Next series.
We did a postmortem. No, that one I can't. We did a postmortem and we were like, tulitumiwa mtu. So when I even raised it in chambers. I raised it in chambers and I said, guys, you guys can't, you honestly amwezi ona tiki tu ni normal. Mbona sa bodyguards wote mwenye wako na mabunduki wote na wote wako huko nje. Then sisi tuko huko ndani na huko ndani ndio all your meetings happen, everyone comes to see, it's your office. That's where hata unaambia constituency yako, base yako ikuje nini whatever. And then remember in there we have we, as politicians we are not friends. So let's say for instance if I'm nominated and I'm vying for the person who's sitting, si hapo ndani yani there's a lot of dynamics, political dynamics happening. But even within as colleagues we have our own to beefs to fight hapo ndani. So kuna vitu nyingi ufanyika huko ndani. So now when I raised it in parliament, and I even said we need to get a motion to discuss all the negatives and even the money that has been stolen and all the things that are happening. There are so many wrong things with Bunge Towers. Ilikataliwa. I wrote even a statement to say we need to even discuss about the ongoing construction. We need to even discuss. Now wakasema nini? Those matters cannot be discussed in chambers. Now, wewe unasema vulnerability. Sisi wenyewe tulikuwa tushaongea juu hiyo story. Me personally nilikuwa nimeongea, Cherargei aliongea juu hiyo story. Cherargei raised it so many times about how money is being channeled. But now I want to tell you, for 14 years, or is it whatever number of years?
Yeah, it's 14 years because ngoja tu kidogo niangalie the stats. So ilikuwa the construction position. Yes. Nataka tuende step by step.
So
the construction of Bunge Towers began in 2010.
2010.
The project was initiated by the Parliamentary Service Commission to provide office space for members of parliament. Yes. So with the initial concept and planning started around 2009-2010, the actual on-site construction work by the main contractor, China Jiangxi Construction Company, commenced in March 2014. So the project experienced significant delays, extending the construction period to 14 years. So now, but when I was telling you I want us to go step by step, I want us to go back to the Parliamentary Service Commission. So some of the Parliamentary Service Commission is made up of the Speaker.
Yes. The chair of the Parliamentary Service Commission
is the
Speaker of the National Assembly.
So
not the Speaker
2010,
of the National Assembly.
2010 the Speaker alikuwa nani? Because
Exactly.
tuende step by step. I don't want us to...
Thank you. So that's even a good way to do it. So go and look at the Speaker for, I might not know them offhand, but look at the Speaker for 2010. Then you come, but forget the
yes, because nataka kuona place huyu mwingine anaingia, the clerk wa Senate anaingia.
So always the secretary to the commission is the clerk of the Senate.
Yes. So
and before the clerk of the Senate was the clerk of the Senate, he was the only clerk. The clerk of the National Assembly came after. There was only one accounting officer. Umenielewa? Kama kuna mtu akona institutional memory ni hiyo ofisi ya the clerk of the Senate.
So 2010 ikianza
walitengeneza bicameral parliament.
So nauliza
So 2010
ikianza the only constant person ni huyu mmoja alikuwa 2010 alikuwa tayari huo clerk of the Senate.
Enda uconfirm asikuje kunipatia ma 10.5 million zake hapa.
Ian unaweza check your story
like enda uconfirm kitu yenye nataka uconfirm every single time when there's a supplementary budget coming out.
Yes.
Who are the people? You know, I'm not here to say he's the one who approves construction or whatever. I am just saying he's the clerk he's the secretary to the Parliamentary Service Commission. Now you need to find out how long he has been there, because he has been there more than 10 years.
Yes. Because nataka kuenda tu
he has been there since we had akina Amos wako guys na nini those days. Just go do your history.
So 2010 speaker alikuwa Kenneth Marende. Then of course 2013 came JB Mturi. Yes. So JB Mturi by the time construction inaanza Mturi is the speaker
and one thing you must know about JB Mturi, JB Mturi tried to blow the whistle so many times about the ill goings or the corruption that is happening with accounting officers and parliament and everything, to an extent that JB Muturi invited EACC to parliament to do investigations. JB Muturi in his book, he even writes the corruption in his book. He outlines the corruption in parliament. And then people were saying, oh, he can now write a book. When he was there, he didn't do nothing. No. When he was there, he blew the whistle. And he was really fighting a lot with the clerk of the Senate. A lot. Because that time, Parliamentary Service Commission still, the clerk played a very key role. But that's not to say that this thing is the clerk of the Senate. What I want you guys to understand is, I'm giving you the corruption and the injustices that are being met by people who even appear to speak up against the corruption. And you understand why Parliament cannot be the institution that plays oversight to other institutions, and yet Parliament itself is
corrupt
and completely captured. So we were having an argument with someone because they said, oh, all these accounting officers, they report to someone. They have authorities they report to.
Yes.
But who do the accounting officers in Parliament report to? They report to PSC. And who is the authority in PSC?
Okay, so tuko tunabonga juu ya PSC. So PSC tumesema ni chairman na kuaga the speaker of the National Assembly. So that one has changed 3 times. So ilianza na Marende, tukatoka Marende tukaenda JB Mturi for 10 years. Tukatoka kwa JB Mturi sasa tumeenda kwa Wetangula. Si ndio? So
and JB Muturi was the Speaker of the National Assembly, but he had a lot of fights with the clerk of the Senate. Not because he was in the Senate, because they were fighting from the commission perspective.
Yes.
Umelewa? The fights were because the clerk of the Senate is the secretary to the commission. And the secretary to the commission runs a lot of things. He has a lot of power and a lot of influence.
Yes.
Yeah. So JB Muturi, as he was the Speaker of the National Assembly, his wars were with the clerk of the Senate.
Okay. So, hii budget inatoka from 5.89 billion, ends up at 9.6 billion. So, let's say 5.9 to 9.6. Sindio? So, you're talking about around, is it 3.7 billion?
And the building is still not complete to date.
Haijaisha mpaka saizi.
To date. But you can't see, because can you enter? You can't enter. And if you can enter, you're restricted to where you can access. Hata nikitoka huko, jikoni haikukuwa imemalizwa. Na mimi hii venye nimefukuzwa juzi tu, the last time I was in Bungetas, jikoni haikuwa imeisha.
But sasa nini kitu kuna nauliza. That's why tunaenda.
So na tumeshamaliza 9.6 billion.
Yes. So 9.6 billion tumenini. But we approve 5.9. So 3.7, who approves it? Like every time kuna delay, who approves this money?
First, their commission has to approve.
You're the same PSC. So far tukibonga jua 9.6 hatujamaliza. So by the time wanamaliza kuapprove inaweza kuwa imefika hata 12 billion.
So saizi budgets zenye unaona zinaletwa haziletwi in terms of construction, zinaletwa in terms of renovations and adjustments.
And it's actually
utaona construction, utaona renovations, adjustments, upgrade, kitu kama hiyo. But really kuna places hazijaisha.
Hafu najua we joke around. I always say that hapa Kenya we joke around
Now
the
these
name
boys,
billion.
they've been fired. Why? Because the people who have a lot of nimewaita boys, no, these men, because
Yes,
they are
yes.
men, they are fathers, they have
Yes,
children.
yes.
By the way, they have spent like 11 years working for parliament. Si watu tu walianza kufanya kazi jana. Like hawa ni watu pension yao saizi iko threatened.
Yes.
These people, why they needed to make an example of a security supervisor or a security officer is because the people who have the most information in parliament
Yes.
are security. Umeelewa? They are the ones with the most information. And I'm not talking about information like budgeting and nini. Hiyo obviously ni watu wa ofisi wako nayo.
Yeah.
Watu wenye wanaweza kakwambia nani alichapwa kwa lift na nani. Na tukaambiwa to delete your CCTV.
Oh, it's
Ni
them.
hawa. So that's why there was a panic that if the journalists have managed to get some level of information as to what is happening, then we have to first showcase that kama kuna mtu mwingine ofisa ama sergeant at arms anataka kuongea, wacha waone venye tumedeal na Joseph na James. Ndio wanyamazi. And it worked because immediately they were dealt the way they were dealt, and you have had even some of the threats from their direct supervisor. What happened is kukakuwa na things that you would even ask a sergeant at arms. By the way, kesho wanaenda unaona nakwambia uliza, just write a letter to ask. Wakaachata kuongelesha members. Not even me, you know me, I'm not spending so much, but generally wakaingiza baridi kabisa wote. In fact, imefika mahali kila mtu, they are just like, I'm not about to lose my pension because someone will suspect me of talking to a member of parliament who wants to speak up about the injustices that are going on. So saizi huko kila mtu ameingia baridi kama yote. That is why you will never get any stories. You know, before that we used to get stories of parliament. Like you'd be told stories. Unajua, news kungekuwa na story ya parliament,
yes.
some corrupt deal or a corrupt or who was something. You can never, because the newsroom editors have been bought. In fact, the owners of those media houses don't know that their newsroom editors have been bought. Hao wajui. Hiyo tu ni deal inafanywa na huku na huku chini. The staff members have been threatened.
Yes.
Completely. By the way, James and Joseph, they were poisoned.
Yeah.
They were in Mombasa for a meeting with regards to this seat. Their nini. Walipoisoniwa.
Yeah.
Yep.
Damn.
They were poisoned.
So how did they know they'd been poisoned?
And you know, you guys think
walijuaje walikula kitu akaanza kuharas karibu adedi?
Yeah. Yes. During just this time, because sasa venye walianza kuona hao watu hawakufi, hao watu hawanyamazi, we've not intimidated them to silence. We have intimidated them, and now they are trying to figure out how.
Which year is this?
Which
year is this?
This year. Yeah.
Which month?
I don't have the exact month. At hao watu ukiwapiga, they are very fearful. They cannot even. I tried to call them to talk to them.
Yeah.
They couldn't.
Because kitu fani na hii.
You know, when someone told me the story, the first thing I did is I tried to look for the contacts. One of these two security officers, when I was doing the Invictus games, the introduction of Invictus, hii kitu ya Prince Harry, ikuje support wounded soldiers. Apparently one of them was part of the group that went to meet now the Prince Harry guys.
Yes.
So now I tried to use that network to get the contact. Nikapata. I tried to call the guy. He refused. Yani na kwanza hadi alikata simu. Nikajaribu hadi kumget through mtu mwingine, akasema watu wameingia baridi. They just want to follow this thing in the labor court, get their conclusion, safeguard their pensions, and just disappear into wherever they could disappear. So, and you know, rightfully so, because wacha nikwambie, unaona hiyo bunge unapewa tu trip ya kwenda Dubai. By the way, mtu asiai kudanganya kama uko na vita na watu. Thank God I never used to go for trips. Kama uko na vita na watu usiwahi danganya uende Dubai. Ama hizi UAE countries.
Tamalizi hapo.
Unajua pale ukikufa hakuna time ya kufanya, not time first
autopsy.
Because unajua lazima mwili iletwe nyumbani.
Na
ndio mwili iletwe nyumbani, si lazima iembalmiwe. So which means autopsy. And I'm not saying anything. There's a staff member who died in Dubai.
Of the National Assembly.
Nyie endeni tumfanye research. And I'm not trying to say anything. I'm just saying the fact is he died in Dubai.
Yes, unanishtua mpaka
So
mimi
these
saa unajua
two
tumekuwa
guys,
tukijidanganya.
they're in coast at the same time.
No, they had gone for...
Were they running away ama?
They were, I think, as I get it, and I'm not sure, hii hata ni mimi, unajua ni mimi sasa nimedecide hapana,
Yes.
watu lazima, people must know about this story. I think, you know, when you're going through the same thing, you start looking for help, like, mnaambiwa endeni meeting, wapi endeni meeting. I think it was one of those things.
Okay.
That is what I think. Because they have refused to talk to me.
Yes.
Not because they don't want to talk to me.
The fear.
They are afraid.
Yes.
Actually, they said outright.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn.
So me, what I did when I had this, the person who told me the story, nikamwambia unilete hizo makaratasi nisome kesi, akaniambia ana, but alikuwa anataka kuniambia because unajua ni mtetezi wa watu nini. So what I did, I told my lawyer to go and get me the public records. So I actually have the records. In fact, can I, if you just over there, just give me those records. I have the records here. So that this is public. What I'm telling you is public information. So you see this booklet, I went and printed the whole case the way it has been filed. So this is even a case, it's under the Milimani Employment and Labor Relations Court in Milimani.
Na kabla uendelee utupatie hiyo information, so uzuri wa siku hizi tunaweza google. Na umsay the member of the Kenyan parliamentary staff who died in Dubai was Wellington Namenge Ogoya. Ogoya was a senior research officer in the Directorate of Parliamentary Research Services and was deployed to the Senate. He passed away in Feb 2023 while on official duty with the Senate's Committee on Energy. Okay. So, ni scandal gani kuna happen kwa energy?
No, mimi tu kitu nimesema siendi Dubai.
Okay.
Under your supervision na tunapigana na wewe.
Yeah.
Juu
unwritten rules.
Mimi tu nimejiambia based on the things I've been seeing and the things and I'm not alluding to anything. I've just said there's a staff member who died in Dubai.
Tell he died in his sleep.
He died in his sleep?
Yeah, that's what the report said.
What was the cause of the death?
Hivyo tu. Ali died of natural causes in there.
Like heart attack ama?
Damn, saizi unajua nafanya tunaogopa parliament. Kwa like, iko nini kujani parliament? Kunyoni chai? No, I'm watching my sugar.
So let me give you, maybe what I did, when I realized these guys are very afraid, I went, you know, you can buy the nini from the court. There's a fee, you pay like 200 or something, then you get the file.
You know, you had mentioned it earlier, but now, okay.
So, there's a case number, this is in the Employment and Labor Relations Court. The case number is ELRCC slash E862 2025. It's between Joseph Mugeni and James Muruki versus Parliamentary Service Commission. They had to go and get court orders to stop the commission from firing them. Because mahali ilikuwa imefika walikuwa unajua mrengo inakuanga huko ni show cause letter, suspension, removal.
Yes.
Gloria Orwoba gone. Now we don't have to worry about travel reports and things. Shock on them. Niko na travel reports zote. Anyway, that's a story for another day. Because now what is happening, kumbe vitu nyingi zimekuwa zikifanyikia watu. So watu wameanza juu wamefikiwa wameanza kuongea. A lot of things. There's a lot of... So anyway, go and see. Everything I'm telling you is a public. So they got a court order to stop there. Pali ilikuwa imefika walikuwa nenda kuvutwa. And remember, these are guys who've worked like 11 years, so their pension is very unfair. Very, and ruthlessly so. They were on half salary for more than 90 days. In fact, up until last month, and that is information I have verified, they have not received a full salary. As I told you, again, the thing for salary, the clerk stopped my salary illegally, even before I was removed. He had stopped my salary illegally. That's why I'm also in labor court. So I think I also inspired these people wakaenda labor court. That's why unaona unasema ule akona kichwa ngumu mtoe haraka mkate miguu before wengine wajue wanaweza kuongea. So now if you go through this file, the very interesting things that you could read in this file, the submissions and the affidavit, it is the same playbook. Because you are the accounting officer, the administrator, you control everything, and you are also the custodian of the documents. Zile documents zenye najua ninafaa kukupatia ndio ukuje kupigana kesi yako ndio ninashikilia. There's even a letter here where they're asking for certain documentation as they prepare for their disciplinary case. The committee of the hiyo disciplinary wakawambia hizo vitu mumeuliza sisi hatuna, labda muulize nini. Of course hiyo muulize nani, si ni yeye ndio custodian. The same thing happened to me. Unaelewa? So at the end of the day, these are two gentlemen who now their matter is coming up for interparty hearing on 14th of this month. And
because kitu interesting na hii story Ian,
Yeah.
do you know one of the things if you're wondering why President MPs don't talk about this, the Speaker of the National Assembly ilikuwa Wetangula warn MPs against negatively speaking about the tower.
yeah.
How does that happen?
Yeah.
Like unaambiwa hamwezi ongea negatively about it's a public
Na,
institution. I should be able to
hiyo ni ile warning unasoma hapo. Kulikuwa hiyo ni warning yenye nyinyi mnasoma. Mnajua mkiwaniwa internally ni aje? Mimi niuliza ofisi yangu yenye nilipoa ilikuwa wapi? Karibu
ilikuwa
na choo.
Oh, nusa mavi.
Unafanyiwa mavitu hadi unashanga what is happening to me. Your bills in parliament, you will never see them on the order paper. You understand? As I said, mtu kama mimi trips nilienda 2 alafu hiyo story. I can't even remember the last time I went for a trip.
Alafu kitu moja.
Yani wanakukujia na system. Ukiinua hivi kichwa, you are like, why did I even pick that fight?
But ukiniambia juu ya karibu na choo, another thing I'm assuming, if a building is costing 9.6 billion, choo zifai kwa zinanuka. Naturally zinafaa kwa nile
Ile
Unajua
extraction.
issue hata si karibu na choo. Issue
I'm
ni,
just saying,
hapo
like,
ndio kila mtu
utapata inanuka.
No, sasa mali unajua first una waiting area okay, I can't even talk about that of these vitu za office. Bunge Towers is a scam. It's the scam of the century.
But still,
Can
another
you
thing.
imagine 9.6 billion Kenya shillings and still you are sharing an office with another parliamentarian? You don't, ukikuja kuniona hakuna waiting place. Usimame hapo kwanza nje ya mlango juu ukiingia umefika kwa ofisi. Staff members wako wana struggle, akisonga hivi kidogo amegonga secretary, amegonga researcher. 9.6 billion.
Amegonga the corrupt.
Unanielewa?
Corrupt guy.
Yes. Who are you sharing the office with?
Thank God nilikuwa nimeallocatiwa ni share na I think Shakila, and then I was like hell to the bloody no. So nika forfeit kuenda. I think it was Shakila.
Yeah, I Shakila wa Wiper.
Then thank God that yeye alikuanga hell to the bloody no. So tulikuwa mstreke pamoja, and then she went quickly and akaongea wherever, akapelekwa wherever. Then nikakuja nikaekewa a guy called the senator for Lamu. Is called I forget his name. He's a nice guy. And then so when that was happening, I was really complaining at the floor of the house about security nini. So wakaona huyu, let's settle her. Wacha tumweke mali atakuwa comfortable anyamaze. So nikapewa sasa one of the offices that has no windows, but at least it's my own office. There are offices that don't have any windows, but you don't share. They're in the center of they're like at the corridor. So wakanieka hapo, they tried to like, walikuwa wananinyamazisha because that time nilikuwa naongea, nikienda mashow naongea, nasema you guys amjui nini. So wako like, aki umama mpelekeni tu kwa ofisi enye ataacha kuongea. But so venye nilifika hapo, then I was like, you know what, it's a bigger problem. It's not even a problem about offices, it's a problem about everything in that building. How yani it's crazy. Anyway,
yes.
You up and mbele when things happen. Now when the Gen Z, you remember when I told you us guys were happy Gen Z happened? I said this in one of the shows. Then someone then someone said, by the way, this is evidence for anyone who thinks I'm making up stories. You'll see the dismissal not the dismissals, the suspension letters, the nini mtaziona hapa ndani, hata unaweza chukua uonyeshe watu.
Okay.
For Joseph and James. So Joseph and James, as we speak now, wako nje. Hawana access ya ofisi zao. Umesikia kwa hiyo audio mkubwa wao akiambia kila mtu, these people are like persona non grata or they are not hao ni watu hata
Scale 15.
Scale 15 sijui nini.
Come baby come.
Baby come.
Waka miguna atakuwa like, yeah.
Who's that?
So hao watu venye wako imagine iliishia hivyo. Hao ni watu wako na mafamilia, hao ni watu wamefanya kazi 11 years. Hao ni watu saizi, not only, you know what they do when they deal with you, they try to make sure you can't get a job after that.
Yes.
And how they do that, unaona sasa kwa hizo mapali unaweza kuwa player kazi, wanapigia na masimu hapo madirector manini. So these are people technically who are unemployable in the spaces where they would work best. Because the cartel lead cartels washa spread au watu ni watu wataambia watu when you're stealing money or whatever and which is funny because they actually did not participate in the thing. They just happened to be one of the officers on duty.
Now yes, kabla uendelee nataka tu nichukue tu 1 second nikuonyeshe building. Umesema hii building ya parliament haina windows. Nataka kukuonyesha. I always tell people kwa isho that the Chinese give you what you ask for. The same Jiangxi construction built this as their main headquarters. Look at that building. Look at how beautiful it is. Na utapata it's cheaper than Bunge Towers.
For sure
At some point
9.6
lazima tuangalie like as a country what are we trying to achieve? That's the same country. Wewe unataka kuniambia kitu inaweza kosa window? It has more windows than it needs. It's beautiful.
You know what they were trying to do and thankfully I have the background in architecture and construction and I've actually worked in that space.
Yes.
They were trying to make the most out of nile kitu you have got 300 plus members.
Yes.
67 senators. Hiki tu lazima tukule pesa, si ndio? Lakini pia lazima tukalisha wase hapa ndani.
Yeah.
So kuna corridor, unaona? Like hii side ya madirisha kuna maofisi, hii side nyingine ya madirisha kuna maofisi. But sasa hizo ofisi hazitoshi. Juu pia lazima tungemeki kitu as cheap as possible so that we eat the most. Right? Yes. So hapa katikati pali inafaa kukua corridor wameweka maofisi zingine. Umeelewa? So if the building is like this, there are offices on this side of the window, this side of the window, then where it's supposed to be a corridor, they've put a line of offices and the lifts.
And nakwambia
so hizo za katikati hazina madirisha.
Cheki unajua, do you know the people who are known to use very small spaces better than any
Chinese.
Asians.
They do proper practical design.
Like yes, if you give them especially budget ya 5.89 billion and you tell them I don't want a single cent from this, I want the best product,
but if
they'll give you the best product.
But if you read the story of that contractor at the beginning he refuses. If you read, enda google some story, alikata kuletewa subcontractors. It was a big fight. Then
wanataka kuifanya direct.
Na subcontractors ni akina nani hapa tu
unajua this local people
atanipatia ngapi
so
he had refused. There was a fight where the main contractor had refused to be given subcontractors and it became like tufanya hivyo si wewe uko na main contract. So I think akeka mkono juu akasema hata in fact jijengeni hiyo nyumba.
Hapo najua utuchukua kaka tu nini tu monkey fulani because don't forget just last week wali jail their was it agriculture minister to death particularly it was due thanks due nini because aliibaga pesa. So that's how seriously they take the money.
Their corruption.
So when they come here and they're negotiating with government officials about corruption,
exactly.
Like ampendi nchi yenyu.
I'm sure the same way you are prepared to go to space number how to handle gravity and stuff like that. Wanapitisha like how to
handle
corruption deal.
But anyway, let me not go there. Yes. In fact nimeenda kuongea nikakumbuka my lawyers. Lawyers are not cheap. But so, now, let me, because I was going to say something, I'm like, hold your breath. But now let me try to conclude this matter and say, this is only one of the, the reason I can speak freely about this one.
Yeah, because
you have the document.
I have the documents.
Na pia haufollow under warning ya Wetangula.
Hiyo warning ya Wetangula, by the way, aende akajiwon wawoniane huko na Clark na watu wanaona huko pali wako. Wetangula hata nilimtumia message nikamtumia kesi yangu ya labor because he's the chair of the commission. As the chair of the commission, when you are subordinates and the secretaries and all other people are subordinates, when they go wrong, you also have a responsibility to say, that is wrong, stop it. When this guy illegally stopped my salary, before I was even removed, I sent to Wetangula. He blue ticked me. Alafu anatembea huko nje akiambia watu huyo mama ni mwenda wazimu. He has not even, I can bet you he has not opened to see. And but I was told that the clerk went and lied when he asked. I was told by someone who was in proximity during that conversation. Now this is how they think they've safeguarded themselves, but everyone around them is done with them. So someone told me ati imagine huyo clerk aliulizwa ati Weta alimuuliza ati na wewe umeenda kusimamisha mshahara ya Orwoba, hiyo umeenda sana, so you're stretching that matter. And then the guy apparently said no sijasimamisha mshahara. He lied to Weta.
Oh, okay.
So Weta because now me I'm just a nominated senator, there's nothing, I'm down there, so ikakuwa like AOB waka move forward. Now see me, I went and filed the thing in the labor court. I sent to him. if I file a case in the labor court and you read my affidavit and you show and you see that they're even in their response,
yes,
I can't discuss that. Yeah,
Okay.
because we're in court. I'm sorry, I can't discuss
Okay,
that.
okay.
But anyway, the matter is in court, and
so
Weta was aware.
3.7 billion. I think another person who also we can't acha out and then a clean slate ni Uhuru Kenyatta, because this budget here Parliamentary Service Commission, it still comes from the government, sindio? So that means that hii budget ikimove from 5.9 ikiendelea kumove juu, Uhuru was somewhere just like, how does that work? Because iliopeniwa na Ruto, that one I don't dispute, but the construction started during Uhuru's time because Kibaki was gone. So it was conceptualized under Kibaki. Most construction happened under Uhuru, and then of course Ruto, niko sure Ruto, let's just be honest, he wanted to open a building ile ni beautiful, you understand, like that's what he'd want, ndio ichukue sifa ikuende kwake. But now it's substandard. So what role do you think Uhuru played in this? Because pia Uhuru pia at some point na feeling ni kama history tunamsafishia rada sana, but this is bullshit.
For sure, every president that, for me, just as I've told you, Wetangula, being the Speaker of the National Assembly, is the chair of the Parliamentary Service Commission.
Yes.
So anything that's going on wrong down there, hata kama inaenda wrong na uko the lowest at Parliamentary Service Commission, as long as it is brought to the attention of the chair, and he does nothing,
Okay.
I feel like huyo pia afai kuachiwa hivyo.
Yes, me weta tume nini hata that's when we bring up the fact.
But in that same spirit, as much as the budgets were being passed from Parliament and being executed by Parliamentary Service Commission, these people were somehow still responsible at a level, even if PSC is independent.
Yes.
There is a level where as a president you can say, why are we even having a supplementary budget of this much? And even you talk to your parliamentarians to put in, unajua, every president has parliamentarians in their party. So you still talk to your parliamentarians and you tell them, lakini this supplementary budget nini, why don't you put an inquiry? But it was like it was, how do you call it, sazile watu wanakimbilia kuchukua nini, it was like bank imefunguliwa kila mtu akimbia achukue the most they can get out of it. So he didn't stop it, and you don't see any efforts from Uhuru Kenyatta as a president at that time trying to even to put a stop to the corruption at that time. And now when we were coming to finish the building, you also didn't see any efforts by William Ruto trying to put a stop at a supplementary budget that now brought us from 7-point-something billion to 9.6 billion.
Because this extra 1.9 billion may happen under
every financial
Ruto.
year. Every financial year, don't focus on the taxes that we are being charged. Focus on what they are also using that money for.
To do, yes.
Every finance bill also will show you the supplementary budget or a budget of parliament, and they might hide it in all sorts of wordings like upgrade of communication system, or like they have this thing called integrated security management system of parliament, which is non-existent but cost us billions. Because an integrated security management system means that when I check into parliament, I don't even need a security officer at the gate to open for me a gate. I have a badge. I badge myself in because it has a chip code. And when I badge myself in, when I enter, someone sitting from a control room can say Senator Orwoba right now is in chambers. Senator Orwoba right now is in wherever. There's even the badges that we're given, they don't have chip codes. Ile badge, in fact, I will show you. Do I have my bag here? Just give me the badge, I show you. It does not have any chip code. It is nothing. It is a plastic. Mi na wewe tunaweza printiza vitu hapa nini industrial area tukuwe na mabadge. Haina chip code. And when you call something an integrated security management system, that badge should even be able to tell you, without me to go back in again and take my card to enter chambers, should be able to tell you that on this day, nikilog into hivi badge ya Gloria, inafaa tu kukuonyesha, on Thursday, Gloria alikuwa committee room 6, Gloria alikuwa nini, Gloria, that means, hata kama ni mileage anaitisha, mileage, because iko na timeline. Yes. The reason you have never seen any reports as to what happened during the Gen Z demonstrations is because if they have to do a report, they also then must also come and tell you, we don't have CCTV footage of these particular areas because the CCTVs are dummies. They are not actual CCTVs.
Damn. 'Cause
How will they
Parliament.
tell you that?
so they paid actual money for
It's
the
on
CCTVs.
it's on the side. It's on the side of my nini.
Sindio, sio scandal ni they paid actual money for real CCTVs but wakaget dummies because they're cheaper.
Why do we have dummies?
Because they're cheaper.
Yeah. But also, why do you have dummies? You don't want people to know what's going on there. Why don't you want people to know what's going on there?
But amwezi kuwa najua new misbehave in parliament but amwezi kuwa mnafanya vitu za ajabu.
Mimi kesi yangu ya sexual harassment yenye nimewekewa 10.5 million. The simple thing we asked for is the CCTV so that you can see me going into that office and you can if anyone wants to come and say hata hajai kuja kwa ofisi yangu.
Yeah.
But even that you can't get. And then again, who's the custodian of the CCTVs in Senate? The same person.
So unakata kuuliza. So kile unatry kutuambia ni PSC there has to be billionaires.
What I'm trying to tell you is
they have to like dollar millionaires, all of them.
there's this one, yeah, that one. Oh, you've removed it from the thing. This one. Bring it with that thing because it comes with that thing.
Dollar millionaires.
So just bring it. So this is the you see, this is the badge. This thing doesn't even have a chip.
Wacha niangalie
Isi
picha.
naka kama ile yangu ya
The
NSSF.
picture itself. See, Ian.
My friend, kuna
Yeah,
mtu ana
but
contract hapa ya integrated security management systems.
Alafu
Ametupa
Ian,
badge.
hii shida ni hii picha
Yes.
hata si clear. Hii picha mtu anaweza
Wewe
pita
unaongea
nayo.
picha. Sasa hii saizi nikikupatia, si ukienda hapa Inda
Wacha
watakutengenezea.
nipige hii picha. Hii picha najua si clear. Sinaweza onyesha watu hii picha kama siwezi because
unaweza
you
waonyesha.
can't even be seen clearly.
Lakini sasa
like
hapo kwa ID sijui utafanya nini hapo kwa ID.
yeah,
ndio
trasensor
nini,
but
eh.
damn this is
But so this is the badge. And you can see so is this an integrated security management system? Yet there are billions that has been spent and continue to be spent in terms of management and maintenance of the integrated security management system of parliament. That is non-existent.
So nataka kuniambia even huduma cards were better than because they have chips, they had chips.
At least. And you know, the idea of integrated, the idea of integrated means that the system can show you movement, the
Yes,
system
exactly,
can show
yes,
you
yes.
presence, the system
for such a protected
yeah,
area.
and also that integrated security management system is what then you would ideally I have managed a critical facility. That is my expertise. Critical facilities are like airports, hospitals, data centers, things like that. I have managed a critical facility. An integrated security management system is important because what you want to do, you want to remove the human interaction. You see, the day when I went to parliament and I couldn't enter, I didn't need anyone to carry me out of there or anyone to lock the gates. If you had an integrated security management system, even if my car entered the parking, that would be the maximum I would reach.
yes, you just deactivate.
I would just be they'll just deactivate my car. I'd just be at the parking saying now my card doesn't work. You know, I can't go past this place. And then even with an integrated management system, once you breach the security, the place where you're going, once you breach security, there will be an activation of either the sergeant at arms. You wouldn't have to call a breakdown service from Gara to come. There would be an activation of the sergeant at arms. The sergeant at arms on duty have a protocol. And immediately after all of that, there's something called an incident report. An incident report is what I've asked you. After Gen Z broke in to parliament, Kenyans should have been facilitated with an incident report.
Yes, this is what happened.
This is what happened. This is where the security lapse is. Because Kenyans were asking, watu wamevaa mamask wana shoot ni akina nani? Wanakuanga bunge. Pia sisi ilikuwa the first time kuwaona. So we were like, watu wanakuanga.
You said you guys were happy.
You know, I was happy. Why? So many things that were being raised about security that were not being addressed because watu wanakula pesa.
Yes.
Now, it came to pass. Not that it's a good thing that parliamentarians were injured or that people died.
Were they injured?
There are parliamentarians that were injured.
Well, they injured themselves wakihepa. Si hakupigwa.
No, there were parliamentarians that were injured.
Walitandikwa
But then
ngumi?
what you forget is that it was not only Gen Z who entered parliament. Gen Z entered parliament. Hao ni watu walikuwa wanatufanyia ma videos because their aim was to enter parliament.
Yes.
But there are guys who came in armed and they were going for the armory. They were actually, I didn't even know we had an armory until that day. They were going for the armory, the KDF armory, and the armory for Bunge. Because Bunge ukiingia, you have to deposit your weapon. So there were many weapons that had been deposited. So when Gen Z was doing their thing and there was that distraction, there were people who were trying to steal those weapons. Those were not Gen Zs. Gen Z didn't even know there was an armory I mean some of these things you can tell when it's
si hata Gen Z peke yake, hata
Yeah.
mi si Gen Z,
mimi
but I
nilisikia
didn't know
about the
about that.
armory
Yeah.
tulikuwa na interview
no
na
but
Abel
it's true
Abel Mutua.
yeah it's true
Yes, and they're like, okay, I didn't know we
yeah
actually
it's true
had
no
such a
we
thing.
have a military armory there but we also have where we store the guns.
Yes, of course.
Most parliamentarians have guns and when they enter certain spaces you can't enter with the gun so you have to store the gun.
Yes.
And the time when they broke in the guns were in storage. Most of the you understand because
Yes,
they were
yes,
in
yes.
chambers so the guns were in storage. There was that but also there was the fact that these people had the floor plans of parliament.
So hiyo inakuwaga ni as a conspiracy theory is the opposition organized that, and in this case watu blame mpaka Gachagua,
My conspiracy
which
is not the opposition.
makes no sense. So who do you think was this
My
going after
theory
the armory?
my theory is corruption has been normalized in parliament. They forgot to even safeguard their security. And I think in every chaos there's an opportunist. There's a business person.
Yeah.
There's someone who has seen something that you haven't seen because you're more focused on human rights and whatever, the finance bill. But there's someone who has been watching every day how parliamentarians enter,
Yes.
how they deposit their guns. They've been watching. There's someone who, remember when after that 3 days later, there was a guy who was arrested because apparently he was seen tampering with the CCTV of parliament. That guy was not tampering with the CCTV of parliament. The story goes, allegedly, what were 10.5 million. The story goes that guy, he actually supplied CCTV footage, CCTV installations to the Senate, to Parliament, and they didn't pay him. And yet he found out from finance that his money had been released. So akakasirika, the story goes, allegedly, akakasirika, akakuja akatoa CCTV zake. Umeelewa? So he just was like
So he was not tampering, he just repossessed his own stuff because
now if you ask me, the first corruption inaanza na wacha tu apite. The second corruption inaanza tutauza badge za parliament. The third corruption inaingia tutauza sticker za gari za parliament. Sticker za gari za parliament zinauzwa for almost 200,000. Watu wenye si parliamentarian. Yeah.
It's not like in your
so unaweza for me to be able to park there ama what does it help?
In town you do uchaji wangu parking na sticker ya parliament. Umeelewa?
So you can park anywhere.
Yeah, you can park anywhere. There are places you can access with the sticker that normally you wouldn't access. It has some value. Zinauzwa. So tukaanza kuuza mastika. Tunaona venye corruption inaendelea. So for me what happened during the Gen Z, my analysis is there are people who just needed the opportunity to strike. And the opportunity presented itself as a Gen Z movement. And let me tell you, there's a reason why that armory is in parliament. Because they are very safeguarded.
Place. Yes.
Otherwise ingekuwa anywhere ingepelekwa Uhuru Park, but vitu zingeibiwa. You know what I mean? So they were just waiting for the opportunity. And let me tell you, the people who entered parliament were Gen Zs who were just genuinely like, we are demonstrating and this is it. And then there are criminals who entered parliament with knives, with nini. And then there was a lot of political battles that were being scored. Personally, I was told the day we finally came back to parliament, me and my team and my staff, and it took for us about 2 weeks because remember I was sick, I was pregnant.
Yes.
So me, I didn't come back immediately like everyone else. I took about 2.5 weeks to come back. When I came back, my driver akasema, mulikuwa wapi? Nyinyi mulikuwa mmetafutwa. Nyinyi particularly mulikuwa mmetafutwa. It was not with Gen Z. People were settling political scores.
Yes.
Nyinyi mulikuwa mmetafutwa. When I went to investigate, there was a hit list. They had put out a hit list because they were saying, if this thing happens, there are certain people who must die. But I was in the hit list. And I was not in the hit list because of anything. I was in the hit list because I had started showcasing, I'm going to talk about stuff in parliament. These people went on a smear campaign.
So nafikiria tu hiyo sasa ni hit list ya just within parliament itself.
There was a hit list within parliament.
unaunderstand ko sisi
Yes,
kama
yes.
sisi tukiwa nje ilikuwa like everyone at parliament is an enemy there were no specific enemies.
Yeah, exactly. But there was
Yes.
a hit list. Now I want you to understand this.
Okay.
Yeah, and I want you to understand this. And let whoever who's saying I'm lying come and tell you their truth. And let them tell them that there was no hit list. There was a hit list. And here's the thing about that hit list. There were certain people who had been made there are certain people who are outrightly the enemy of the people because of how they had been profiled. You know, the Kimani Ichung'was, nini wao walikuanga hata hao ndo wali. Mimi I was in Senate. I don't vote at all, even if I was yani finance bill haikuji Senate. Finance bill sisi hatu vote, but somehow nilikuwa nimewekwa level ya kina Kimani Ichung'wa because kuna mtu alikuwa anatumia hiyo hatred yenye ina manufactureiwa. Remember I told you about a smear campaign? These guys went on a smear campaign through mainstream media, through bloggers, through what, to prepare you that Gloria is in fact an enemy. The video of me being pinched that was released in State House, no video of the president will be released without an approval by certain people within the presidency.
Haikuwa captured na mainstream media like
Mainstream
legacy media
walikuja capture press conference. Not everyone in mainstream media is, hata kama ni KTN, kuna watu wa KTN wanakujanga wanaitwanga State House correspondents ama nini.
Yes.
In order for them to keep their you know as journalists their how do you say it, their offices, like the State House, there's a release. You can't just enter and start shooting anything and releasing.
Yes, of course.
That's why we see specific
There's
things.
a press office.
There's a press office
Yes.
that collaborates with, thank you. There's a press office that collaborates with the journalists who are welcome to State House to do the thing. Even the release of that video of the president pinching me was in line with the smear campaign leading up to the hit list, leading up to the people. Like I told you, Gen Z were genuinely saying parliamentarians have been sold out.
Yes.
Rightfully so. There are some who've been sold out. But in that chaos, someone who was fighting me knew this is also an opportunity to get rid of this person. So I have to make people hate her even more. And then in that hit list that is being circulated, ati mukipatana na so and so, make sure her name has to be there. Because you tell me why I'm in a hit list for the finance bill.
Okay.
And then they tried to say, she said that you remember they ran a campaign that I agreed for pads to be taxed.
Taxed, yes.
Nowhere on record have I. Unaelewa? Nowhere. No one could pull up a record and tell you this. They just started running the smear campaign.
Alafu nini kitu moja I think last time sikuuliza 25th of June usiku ulikuwa unasema you are in some groups that even the president was in. What was the conversation going on hiyo siku apart from, because I remember the president called protesters criminals, yes? But what else had happened your time? Was there a certain level of responsibility that, you know what, we pushed these people to this because they said no to this thing, but
No,
we insisted,
no.
we insisted
No,
on
there wasn't. There was none. There was none because by that time, some of us who had been the alternative voices,
Well,
first of all, mi sikuwa na security yangu ilikuwa imewithdrawiwa, enda muone.
yeah.
So watu walikuwa na self-preserve because sasa umerealize even the people you are trying to tell this is happening, it's like the pushback is even from them. Mi security yangu sikuwa na security. Enda uangalie between 23rd, which I think was also a good thing because I think they would have used the security to get to me. Because I didn't have, between that 23rd, 24th, 25th, I didn't have security.
Yes.
Yeah. Actually, that whole, even when I came back, much later ndo nilikuja kupewa sasa bodyguard.
Yes.
But those people, the alternative voices had been really, walikuwa mezimwa. So in fact, most of the conversations were more like, this is happening, nyumba ya nani nachomwa, you know, people, you know, also people, you forget these people are parliamentarians, so they are dealing with their family crisis. As in watu walikuwa, there was a real panic. There was a real fear. It was not just, it was like ninakujiwa.
Na fear yenyu ilikuwa nini at that point? Mko mnafikiri you're losing your seats and
No,
was that fear of
no. It was a
this
fear
thing might get ugly?
It was a fear of life and death. There are parliamentarians who walikujiwa kwa nyumba na mobs of people.
Yes.
And they were threatening to burn down the houses. Some houses were burnt. Some businesses were burnt. Some people like the Alice Nganga for Thika, remember, even her school, whatever, all the people. In fact, at that point, akukukuwa tina tunaongea as politicians. People retreated back to family.
Yes.
People went back to Where?
humanity
And humanity. Mbona sijui me, my son was being kidnapped. And that's why if you go and look between 23rd and whatever, I drop off I go silent.
Yes.
Because I'm also dealing with a lot, and then I'm pregnant, and then I'm sick. And apparently I get to know that I'm on the hit list.
alafu sasa nini tukisahau hata hit list in hindsight do you think the whole situation was handled wrongly as much as there was misinformation?
Absolutely.
Let's say the misinformation is out there. You know, you can't also tell people you're stupid, nyini wajinga, sisi ndo tunajua.
The word
'Cause
you're looking for is
that's
de-escalation.
Yes.
They never de-escalated any matter. They never, and I feel like that's because people were taking advantage of the uprising to feed in their personal interests. Like for instance, nimekwambia bunge watu wana settle scores.
Yeah.
Unaona? Mwingine ameiba pesa nyingi anaona hapa ndio wacha hii nini chomeke, wacha tuchome hii ofisi ndio sasa tuseme ilichomwa. You understand? Because that's what was happening in the county offices of some MPs and whatever. You remember? Vitu zilikuwa zinachoma, but it wasn't kuchoma. People were now just taking advantage of the situation.
Pia evidence.
Yeah.
All
so now
corruption
exactly.
evidence.
So now what was happening?
Kuna moto City Hall.
Instead of yeah, kulikuwa na unajua ulikuwa unajiuliza hizi moto zinatokea wapi na hata watu hawajaenda huko, you know.
Kuna moto 10 huko.
Moto ni
Unajua, you know, if you not take a step,
Kikuyu
Lockout zilichomwa. Why?
Yes.
You know, for you to reconstruct a whole file, inapeleka kesi nyuma sana, eh?
Yes.
And as much as we are digital, we are not completely digital.
Yes.
So what was happening after, where I said I was happy personally is, first some of us had been telling the president, you know, do something about this, stop, don't do, we were the alternative voice in those spaces. And I've said this before, mumeona kuna mtu ameanza kurelease ma screenshot za hiyo group yenye tulikuwa. If mimi nilikuwa mbaya venye walikuwa najaribu kunipaint the smear campaign that how come hawaja release screenshot zangu za hiyo nini? Kwa sababu screenshot zangu hapo I'm talking for the people. Screenshot zangu hapo ninasema why are we doing this, let's stop doing, you know, like screenshot zangu ukisoma uko like by the way umse venye tunamjua hapa nje si venye tunasoma hizi screenshot. And so there was like they were manufacturing hatred and people were taking advantage, and in the end the people who were responsible to de-escalate the situation only escalated the situation. Even the president going to do the press conference was that night
later in the evening. Yes.
Yeah, 9 p.m. I felt it was good that he should have addressed the people,
not call them criminals.
But when the people you are addressing are up in arms, you don't go and call them criminals.
Yes.
You don't. I mean, even if the truth of the matter is that there were some criminals in the mix, that is not the time. That is not the time, because kuna mtu wamefiwa, their child has died. Sasa on top of that unasema wewe mwenye amekufa juu alikuwa criminal. Mtu mnajua alikuwa tu hapa university. You know. So I feel like at that point he had an opportunity to de-escalate. But again, State House boys, wacha tuonyeshe international community we still are under control. We are going to, that was the messaging was coming from the State House boys backyard.
Damn, najua ukisemaga State House boys mona itumbi tu.
Yeah, I can't see past.
Sasa wakina itumbi ndo alikuwa like iko nana.
But Itumbi was
Special programs.
sitting in very strategic meetings between that 25th and 3 months afterwards. Even in some security meetings, I am told, allegedly, because 10.5 million, Itumbi was sitting. Yeah. So, and you can tell that even the president as a leader and as a father, if he that is not how he would normally communicate. Yes. But because sasa kuna hii pressure, and don't forget the president panicked. He was shaken, very much shaken. Very much shaken.
Yeah, because hiyo ni kitu hatujaifikiria inaweza happen.
And you know, rightfully so, because hata kama wewe ni mwanaume aina gani, you would be panicked. Parliament has been breached. It has been burnt down. You have had to call in the military in some places. You are having the international community starting to do all these news features as if you don't have control. You know, if you didn't panic, then you are not human.
Yes.
So he panicked. He started doing those things on Twitter. What are they called?
Oh, Twitter space.
Space.
Yes.
How come now he has never gone to a Twitter space? If it is something that he would do anyway, how come he has never gone back to Twitter space? You know, that was a show of real panic. We are at the desperate of the most desperate situations.
Alafu ukiendelea nimenotice tumefanya upanga 3 hours. Ian
Tukache
maji
kwanza.
Ian maji
Tumalize sasa ishe.
yes Ian maji Ian alikuwa amekuletea hiyo maji na akaisahau tu kabisa, akaiweka tu kwa.
Alafu unajua as politicians leta hata sitawaonyesha brand. Wasi tu hawajafanya brand placement.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is Kenyans first should demand for an incident report as to what happened in parliament on that day. Because you can't have gone and had a budget and done renovations.
Yes.
You've done renovations without an incident report.
Oh, okay.
So how did we know? How did insurance decide we are going to cater for this? Because we also have insurance. The buildings are insured. So some things insurance covered.
Yes.
But how did the insurance cover without an incident report, without a report, without a public how so hata hiyo inafaa kukuonyesha hapo kuna ukatelism. Juu sasa tunaambiana tu wewe tengeneza madirisha lakini hizi zingine mimi nitaweka supplement. I mean how? See a report has to come out.
Yes.
There was a kamkunji that was done after that in parliament. And people were, I am told, I was absent, but I'm told, reliably so by my colleagues at that time, that walifanya kamkunji, la kamkunji, inile kamkunji yenye waka decide ku have motion, na watu waka debate, wakisema that there should be an inquiry and a report brought so that we could deal with Gen Zs. Nothing happened after that. No report was brought. Gen Zs was supposed to come to parliament, to Senate particularly, to now express exactly what they want the government the way forward.
Na si watu
wange
kutoka
no, but you see the idea was the Gen Zs broke in. They wanted to address parliament.
Yes.
And now we had a whole motion about it. The motion passed that a report should be made so that we can have a way forward. Immediately after that, that's history. That's done. Nothing has happened. Nothing, absolutely nothing has happened. Those days we were even, I wasn't there, but I'm told they were allowed to debate online because sasa bunge ilikuwa accessible. But I didn't log in. I was in hospital. Yeah, I was in hospital. I was bedridden and I was very sick. And nothing happened. And then unajua, just like Bunge Towers, the only thing that happened is these 2 very innocent security officers who have served 11 years in parliament have been fired.
So na ndio nezataka kujua sasa hii were the more officers fired because hii bunge ilikuwa because of exposing the corruption where Kenya lost now neza sema more than 3.7 billion because I'm sure even the 5.89 had been inflated
For sure.
Najua. So that means we've lost a lot of money. Let's say 6 billion so far because it's still continuing.
It's still continuing under renovations and upgrades.
Yes. So hata mfanya nimepoteza my train of thought, like this is crazy, man. Like when you think about Kenya and
talking about in the relation with the two.
Yes, after yo were other people fired, like other security people? No,
in fact 3 people were part of that. 3 security officers were part of that case, but the way they came hard on them. One of them I think alitolewa juu alisema yeye alikuwa anaenda kuchukua evidence ya hawa wengine. Azina alijitoa, aliangusha hawa wengine akajitoa allegedly. So wakabaki wawili, so wawili ndio sasa wakaangukiwa. But you see, you know, when you work 11 years and this is the only job
hapo ujani understand stories za kina Mugeni na bonga sasa juu ya after 2015
after the officers. Here's the thing. Security. No, you know how parliament works. No one knows the parliament structures. If you don't know the parliament structures, then you don't know, you can't follow the money. If you can't follow the money, you can't complain about anything. For instance, if you know, now that I've told you the parliament structures, you can sort of start seeing things the way they should be seen. But no one knows even the Senate structures. You don't, like in Senate, no one, the people who know are the people who are running the show. Like for instance, who approved or proposed the contract for evacuation of VIPs? No one knows. And because you don't know, no one knows the budget. Because you don't know the budget, you don't know where to start, because you don't even know which office should have that contract, because you don't know which office should unachoka, unaachia hapo. That contract, does it still exist? What did we ask for them to pay back a fine or something for actually not evacuating?
And I'm sure sasa mi niko sure ukifuatilia utapata walilipwa. Sasa itakuwa
So utapata hata walilipwa.
and
I'm sure coming from a critical facilities background and experience, when you have an evacuation contract, in the evacuation contract, when you have persons with disability, you charge more. So utashua unanipata wapo tulikuwa na PWDs wenye literally was
in both
stranded
houses, yes.
in both houses.
Yes.
Do we know whether that contract still exists? Nobody knows. Do we know how much that contract is paid? No. I've told you there's a contract of about 400 million Kenya shillings annually for verification of documents.
Yeah.
What documents?
Ati sasa kama niko na KCPE, KCSE nini for staff members.
Achai.
But
Ati
do they
And
do certificates?
rewind. Okay. See.
Acha ni kunywe maji.
Kunywa maji tusikie hiyo 400 million for verification of
Ile yenye
documents.
niliona hivi makaratasi ilikuwa 400 million for verification of documents.
So,
and what happened
Mm.
there's a time that someone tried to blow the whistle and then they went on a deep dive on all the documentation of all the staff members of parliament and they found a huge number. You can check it online. They found a huge number of staff
Ghost
members
workers.
in parliament. No, first staff members in parliament don't actually have they have fake papers and they were let go like too randomly and then history kakufa.
So hii nini
That around the same time ndio kulikuwa na hao ghost workers. We also have ghost workers in parliament.
so nakuuliza hii verification of documents who are we verifying? Employees of parliament or even parliamentarians?
Employees, staff members under parliamentary.
And how many of them are they? Like parliament
As
can
I told
approximate?
you, no one knows.
Okay, approximate
I swear,
1,000.
hiyo hata nisikudanganye.
Okay, let's say it's 1,000. Let's say it's 1,000.
I don't know
yes?
because you see it
yes,
has
yes,
many
ndio
wings,
nasema,
eh?
ndio nasema. Let's say it's 1,000, yes?
Juu pia unajua
And
hiyo
how much
stuff-
are we spending per year? 400 million. But if 400 million, if I verified you last year, I don't need to verify you this year.
Sino nashindo certificates
See,
expiring.
I'm only supposed to verify
In
the
fact,
new
you know the
employees.
reason why I'm talking about this? I want that parliament to come out and say I'm lying and then bring the documents of how much they're spending on verification of it. Because you see, the problem is it's easy for them to say this person is propaganda, this person is lying. But it's very difficult for them to just be transparent on their budgets. It's also very difficult for them, for instance, when I say people are traveling back and forth, just remove the travel report. It's very difficult. Like parliament, what they do, it's like it's a lot of secrecy so that you cannot. Until I told you a ticket in parliament goes for 1.5 million. You didn't know.
Damn.
It's a lot of secrets. Yeah, remember when I came last time, I told you a flight ticket on business.
Oh, yes,
Brings-
yes.
No, so there's a lot of secrecy around how. So now the question is, and I want to ask this, Mwaf. Yeah.
Yes.
Parliamentarians, we oversight cabinet and the executive. We oversight all state agencies. We oversight all parastatals, all government entities. We even oversight the National Police Service. All of that, we play oversight, right? And then who oversights parliament? Who is the authority that now comes in at a situation like now when I'm telling you everything is going wrong in parliament? Who oversights parliament? There is no institution that oversights parliament and how parliament runs its affairs. There is no institution that can come and say, there is, even judiciary has an institution that oversights them.
JSC.
Yeah, and that JSC has independent mechanisms, including those ombudsman and those whatever. Unanipata pali tunashtakingi hao majaji wenye wako corrupt.
Yeah.
Who oversights parliament? Ni wapi nitaenda nishtaki speaker? Niseme speaker amefanya hivi. Ni wapi uko, ni wapi nitumeni? Ni wapi nitaenda nishtaki commissioner?
Juu kama history ya PSC vile umesema
Ukumbuke mimi nimejaribu all avenues. Juu after niende kushtaki mtu kwa PSC, nikaona PSC hizi fanya kitu, nilienda nikashtaki mtu, nikafungua kesi hapo kwa police station ya impersonation when they actually impersonated me through an office.
And this
Lakini hiyo polisi iko under parliament. So who nitashtaki wapi? Hizi vitu zote nawaambia ni wapi nitaenda kushtaki.
And this, how do this nini come about? These commissions of inquiries, because hizo ndizo zimekuwa
Parliament. It's parliament. and it will be parliamentarians who do it.
Okay.
Ndio nataka kuuliza Mwaf leo venye mnasema mimi ni mdomo, ni wapi nitaenda nishtakia watu? Nitawashtaki ama niseme venye Ruto alisema nitawashtaki kwa Mungu? Nitawashtaki wapi?
Mimi pia sijui.
So that is why because hakuna mali utawashtaki, wataendelea kuiba, wataendelea kufanya wanachofanya, wataendelea kuvuta kina Joseph na James, wataendelea kutoa kina Orwoba because watasema whatever next tutaona vitu watafanya, because ni wapi tutaenda kushtaki hao watu? Hakuna institution that holds them accountable.
Because me nikiangalia the amount of money that was stolen, am I still being stolen through Bunge Towers? And I look at that and I know that unless at some point kuna a different parliament, and in that parliament the speaker is like you can speak about anything, because vile muangaliaga that speaker, that should be the place where you can speak about anything, sindio? Hapo si lazima tuseme allegedly, sindio?
Yes.
In fact, that's why you are protected. It is a privileged space where you are protected, but even there when you speak, but Orwoba has been removed for speaking there.
Yes, unakwambia sasa
tawashtaki wapi?
Ukituambia juu ya how like because mi naangalia this is an ongoing robbery hii parliamentary
service commission.
Yes, this is an ongoing robbery. They are robbing Kenyans, unajua. And if they are not robbing us, they need to give us the freedom kuingia hapo na kuangalia kuona is there any door that leads to nowhere. Machigilo mesema there is a door that leads to a wall. If
I can show you,
that's not true.
Mimi I can show you the door. I can even nitaingia nikwambia fungua hii mlango uniambie hapo ni nini iko ndani. Nothing. Not a room, not a it looks like unajua venye kunaweza kuwa na kona kwa building, then hapo kujiweke mlango. Yani unaweza simamisha kifagio.
So unasema they look like these torture rooms, eh?
No, because
kucheza na mind yako, like a door that leads to nowhere.
Yeah. It's called the door that leads to nowhere.
Yes.
That's
end of the road for you. And
so me, my thing is people keep trying to paint a picture of, I don't know how, but I'm saying we just never thought through certain things, and maybe that's why we are told our 2010 constitution is progressive. So as we live it, we are supposed to make it, to refine it. And what I can tell you is, first of all, the powers that we have put upon the secretary, it's not the secretary, the powers that we have given the clerk of the Senate and the clerk of the National Assembly are powers that should not be given to any individual office. Because the next thing that happens is abuse of office. As we are seeing, all of these things here, all of these things signing, it's showcasing abuse of office. Because also who anareport kwa nani? Uko kwa commission pali huyo mtu anareport, uko ye ndio secretary, na ye being the secretary ndio ana need to approve certain things and to lobby for certain things. So the chair is somehow lazima ati kidogo kwa secretary. Unanielewa? So he reports to himself. That is why when I wrote a letter complaining about certain things to the chair of the commission, who is Weta, he couldn't act on it because I was complaining about someone he bends over to, kind of like we have to work together. That's why I'm saying, now that we have seen and we have lived it, and I'm not the only one saying, I've told you go and do some research on JB Muturi when he was a speaker of the National Assembly.
He used to complain about that. So, swali ni Mugeni na Murioki, as Kenyans, how can we help to at least kufanya wapate a fair trial? Because you know that's all we want, because them letting the media because of freedom of the media should be there.
The media should go there.
Yes,
the media should. Someone will ask me, where you're just picking up was. I'm not picking up was. I feel for these people. I am out and fine. I don't earn a salary. I've not been earning a salary. I can get by.
Yes,
that's not the same position with Joseph and James. They are not in the position where they can say, I don't need the salary or I can get by.
Yeah.
And not only that, these people have made sure when they have done whatever they've done to them, none of the other possible employers can take them in for work. So wamewaharibia mpaka any other potential kind of employment. And these are not young people who you can say will go and start a business. Unanielewa? So for me, I think when I heard the story, first I felt so bad because I was like, sasa venye mnasemanga, you are a member of parliament, you are there to represent the people, to speak for the people, to speak for the vulnerable. How can you go speak for the people, the vulnerable, ule mnyonge akoko kwa grassroots iten, na hapa bunge uwezi ongea maneno ya Joseph Mugeni na James Muruki, who technically you can say these sergeant at arms, these security officers in parliament, more than one time, if you've been in that parliament, they have saved your lives. When we even go to Mashinani, these are the people who save your lives. These are the people who keep you safe. These are the people who make sure when you're in there, you can be able to work without fearing my enemy or whatever. Hata imagine umenipatia kukunywa. Kuna time Senate, mimi sikukuwa na kunywa maji, na nikaambia ma sergeant at arms, watu wanataka kuniangusha. And it is the same sergeant at arms who are making sure I feel safe. Mpaka kuna mwingine alikuwa ananiambia, Senator, here, I promise you, ukianguka, yani they were like, hautakaa hapa bila kukunywa maji.
Yes.
These are people who keep us safe. But now, you are there as a member of parliament, particularly in this parliament, this parliament for 2025, You are there saying, mimi ni mtetezi wa watu, naenda ground kuangelesha, I am the voice of the people, and you cannot be a voice of Joseph and James, who have worked 11 years in that space where you are, who are now being dragged in the mud because of something they did not even do, and something that should have been done anyway to the next level, because whoever did the expose, I'm glad they did it. You don't care about their families. You don't care about their children. You don't care ati Joseph na James wameangushiwa tu huko, because for you, wewe bado wewe ni member of parliament. Alafu unataka kuniambia during Gen Z movement, hivyo venye muna deal na hao ma security officers na ma sergeant at arms, during Gen Z movement, hiyo time wame break in, mulikuwa mnakasirika ati kuna ma sergeant at arms wengine walikuwa wanawapeana. Lazima wawapeane. You don't care about them. Mimi ningekuwa sergeant at arms mwenye ninaonyesha madharau na watu wengine huko wanakuwa na madharau, mimi pia ningewapeana. You understand? So because they were complaining, say, some of these sergeant at arms walikuwa natupeana, tulikuwa tumejificha wapi, au ndo wanaambia watu wakuje huko. What do you expect? Now you have two people who are being let go illegally and wrongfully, and actually too in the most inhumane way. Alafu unataka kukaa hapo kama member of parliament, ati a representative. You can't even represent the staff members there. And it's not only these ones. There are staff members, nakwambia hao subordinates, staff wale wa catering, wale wa nini. Unajua kuna staff wengi mpaka wa gym, unajua staff ni wengi, cleaners,
kuna
sweepers.
gym.
Kuna yani unajua pale ni operation kubwa. There are many staff members wananyanya. So umesikia venye huyo director wa security ameongea kwa hiyo clip?
Yes.
Umesikia venye ameongea?
Yes.
Wewe niambie watu wanafanya kazi chini ya huyo mtu. Just from that conversation.
Because ile madharau, yo, like there was a very dismissive attitude.
Dismissive.
Yes.
Amesema mnataka kupigana na mimi, wacha nitakuonyesha. You know,
na
na wewe
nimejua scale 15 and huko scale 8.
Scale 8 na scale 15, who cares? Scale humanity is humanity. Na wewe uko hapo as an MP, uwezi simama hiyo chambers useme, wait a minute, wacha tuache kuongea juu ya wakazi wa EPZ, wakazi wa Kenya Pipeline, wakazi wa Mumias, tuongee juu ya wakazi wa parliament. Because workers in parliament are having the hardest, you guys don't even know, the roughest time, the hardest time, the roughest time. Na they cannot report to anyone, because wale wa KPLC watakuja watafute mbunge wao, waambie mbunge enda aki KPLC wanatunyanyasa, tukuje tusimame tuende inquiry nini kurudi form. Na hawa wa parliament wataenda kuambia nani? You've never seen a motion, you've never seen any discussion about parliament staff members, yet those are still Kenyans who still are represented and who still vote. But they cannot report their problems. There is a serious deficit in integrity, humanity, and fairness and labor rights that is happening under Parliamentary Service Commission.
Damn.
The chair of members' welfares, members is the members of parliament, of Parliamentary Service Commission, is Senator Okongo Omogeni.
The lawyer.
That one.
Yes.
When I was complaining my salary has been stopped illegally, what did he do?
What?
Nothing. You know why? His hands are like this. We choose commissioners who we send to the commission to represent us, even us as members. They reach the commission, they find the chief cartels. Wananyamazishwa. So, kama members wana complain, staff members cannot even complain. They can't even open their mouth. Unaenda kuinua hivi kichwa ulivutwa, uliwekwa show cause, ulisuspendiwa, ukatolewa. Evil. That is the thing. Protocol. So I'm so happy. I know they will watch this. I know they have refused to talk to me. I know they have refused to ni mimi tu nimejitumatuma ndio nipate hizi my information na nini. And but I want to tell them, first of all, congratulations for even going to court, because watu wanauliwa. Congratulations for that. It's a step in the right direction. So no matter what happens, you've at least gone to I feel like no matter what happens, at least they have been bold enough to say, for the interest of other people, wacha tuende kotini. And I want to just say to Joseph and James, I know their lives have been threatened. I know it's bad. It's not any different from me. My life has been threatened severally, and I've had incidences. But sometimes we are put in certain places for a reason, and I believe that once they get through this case, all those people watakuwa wamefungulia barabara, so that the ills and the evil things that happen, truly there is a very evil spirit in parliament, so that we can begin to deal with that evil, because sisi ni watu wa Mungu. So we are not going to be threatened into evil. We will continue to bring the light, and we will continue to speak about these things until we clean up parliament, whether it is now, whether it is in 2027, because as you can see, parliamentarians are quiet. Yeah, but it's not because they can talk. Threats to their jobs, to whatever, unanielewa, vitu nyingi tu zinafanyika. And I'm waiting for them to remove a statement even about my matter. They cannot remove a statement about my matter.
Because me kile naweza sema, this is a challenge to your PSC. Kama nadanganya, at least tuachieni, to give us the freedom to come and film up ndani, tuone those offices if they are working, and if that building looks like a 9.6 billion shillings building.
And ask for
how
all
many
the
floors
documentation
does the
of the
building have?
It's, I don't know, I'm not sure. Let me not lie. Yeah.
Because nataka kuona hii building ya 9.6 billion,
But
and
it's
how
not
it
even
looks.
that.
Because
You
it
know,
needs to look like 9.6
not even
billion.
that. Be
But you've seen
transparent.
it.
Be
Ushaiona huko
transparent.
kwa nini?
Let them give the
nishaona from
reports.
nje.
Let them give the other thing that the journalists were unable to get was all the reports of the expenditure for Bunge Towers. They were unable to be given.
Because that should be public record.
That should be access to information according to the Constitution of Kenya. Any monies that are spent under the exchequer from the taxpayer, we should be able to access that information.
Yes.
So if the things I'm saying are a lie, they can also come out and say we do not have a contractor for evacuations. They can come out and say we were not able to give a report about the June demonstrations, because I don't know why, but they should also come out and tell us how much was spent to renovate whatever was happened. Why didn't the insurance company give us a report? Give us clarity of what is happening. All other institutions are forced by law, by processes, and by their accountability mechanisms to showcase how they are spending taxpayers' money. Except Parliament. Parliament is the only place you wake up on Tuesday, you've gone to Bunge, you had a perfectly okay red carpet, and on Tuesday of the following week, you have a new red carpet. And you cannot be told. I asked this on the floor of the House. Who asked for a new red carpet? The other red carpet was fine. When I asked it, nobody was able to tell me where the request came from, whether it was necessary, who approved it, who gave the contractor. It's the only place you wake up, you are just okay. You come back, they've added 5-6 floodlights.
Lakini kitu moja lazima niulize, tukimalizia kitu naweza taka kuuliza. One of the things juu ya Magufuli used to be a leader kabisa, so he used to ask questions when there was wastage. As much as unataka kuniambia, if Ruto wanted that to stop, he used to like kuchange carpets, can he stop it? Ama parliament is so independent that even a Ruto can't
Parliamentary
stop it?
Service Commission is independent. But a simple thing, when we were saying we don't want this finance bill because we are being overtaxed, we should also be saying we don't want this finance bill because why are we sending this number of billions to Parliament when we have already been told of the wastage? But also as a leader, as the president, those are your members of Parliament. So to speak, those are your speakers.
Yes.
Both speakers are from the majority. That's the party in office. Call your speakers and tell them what operations are you people running. Cut your budget, because the more your budget is up, I have to find money for this budget. If I have to find money for this budget as a president, I have to go tax people. I have to take more loans. You've seen, we've just taken another Euro. You've read about the Eurobond. I'm just saying, the question that you should ask people, Mwafrika, and it should be asked so loudly that people start understanding what's happening, is who oversees the operations of Parliament? Where do you report the corruption that happens to parliament, and what happens when you report? And who is in charge of the accounting officers of parliament? Because as we speak today, in theory, it is Parliamentary Service Commission, but in practice, they report to no one. They are their bosses. That is why one of them earns 4 million Kenya shillings as a salary, more than the president. So, you go and do your research. So, who do you report to?
Yani una earn 4 million shillings and you still encourage corruption. That shows you how vile Musa Maga, it's not about salary.
There's someone who earns
4 million
more
shillings
than the president of Kenya. There is an individual, an office within government, not government, let's say a state office where there's a person who earns more than the president of Kenya.
Yeah.
You tell me if that is not the actual president of Kenya.
So, and who approved this nini? Hii salary? Ama ni hao wenyewe kwa wenyewe?
Sasa hizo ndo maswali zinafaa kuanza because every year that comes there's that car increment. And that increment has never stopped. And it can't stop because also that office as it has been constitutionally set up, first of all, it's supposed to be an office that you hold for 2 terms. The clerk of the Senate is on his 3rd term.
So ni kama ile ya Jinping.
And nobody, you see, that's the thing. Nobody questions. Nobody asks. Because even if you ask, utamshtaki kwa nani? Utashtaki speaker kwa nani? Utashtaki majority leader kwa nani?
Lakini
wakileta kapetu mpya
kwa high court,
you can challenge it in the high court, but who has money to go through those litigious things? Me, I have 3 cases now. All somehow are pointing to my ninis in parliament, honestly speaking.
Yes.
You understand? And those are cases that directly affect me. There has to be a way that we sit down and we say, there's a problem. The institution that is supposed to oversight the whole executive and all the government state agencies, that institution is being run like a free zone. Everything goes. There is no authority. May the best man win. Ule ako na kifua kuliko mwingine apite. Mwenye anaweza kutoa now you know it has gone down in history that the clerk of the Senate has officially managed to remove a nominated senator. He has bought himself the highest immunity you can ever buy within the precincts of parliament. The next crop of people that come will be told, unakumbuka Senator Orwoba? Clerk alideal na ye. They're actually increasing their power. Because who do you report corruption that happens in parliament to? Mtu akinyanyaswa parliament. Kama sasa Joseph na James wametolewa. Wameenda kotini alafu ni nani tutaambia angalieni huyu mtu anatoa watu illegally? There's no one. Because the person who's supposed to be the chair of the commission, who's supposed to actually look into these matters, is too busy to deal with this and is too compromised by virtue of how the commission has been set up. Because he still needs the secretary of the commission. And the secretary of the commission is the clerk of the Senate. So, James and Joseph, me personally, I'm proud of you guys. I will speak about your story everywhere where I have to speak about your story. I feel like what we don't have many people who are speaking up for those wenye wamenyanyaswa. We have 300 plus members of parliament. We have 67 senators. Well, now we have 68 because I'm still a senator. But nobody. We have no one talking for people. There's a huge silence about the injustices that are happening, not only in parliament, but out here. Umenotice ni kama ma-MP wameenda. Like hausikiangi ma-MP wakiongea juu anything. Na wale wenye utasikia wakiongea kama wenye wametoka kuongea juu ya Kenya pipeline na nini, are the very few, and let me tell you, wanakipitia huko bunge. Thoroughly. It's not easy. In fact, they have been telling me they can't wait for 2027. Like akina my deskmate Murango, akina Nyutu, this one Munyoro guys, because we were friends, the senators, they are having it rough in Senate.
Why sasa? Ni yo intimidation, fear. We've gone to the levels of death mechanisms. Okay. Damn.
Thank you for having me.
Pia asante jo. Unajua every time wakuja utu chanua jo hizi vitu. Because me ungeniambia ati Bunge Towers there was that level of corruption, I would have told you no. najua if you told me that it's substandard because hiyo nini ya substandard ilitokea last year na ikienda chini ya maji kabisa so of course tukaisahau but for you to say that it's that level and after inflating that budget by all that money and the original budget of course was already inflated when you think about all those things I can actually see why TZ inatupita polepole we notice like their airport is better than ours
They're trying.
their public transport system is better than ours is because we over exaggerate everything like hakuna kitu
No,
tunaweza
the
fanya tu-
corruption levels are just insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
nao pia
insane.
hizo vitu zote walitutandika time ya Magufuli
mapadlock
because the lady is back to umecheki
And-
entourage ya the lady it's too much
And
Like
in the
she's-
future, what we need to demand is all these public institutions, their budgets and how they spend it. In fact, there should be a
Should be
website you
public.
just open and you can see how far, SHA wamefikaje na kuspend na kulipa watu wamelipana. It should just be public.
yes
Because that way you also gain back the public trust. People don't trust parliament because they don't know anything about parliament. And because it is designed that you don't know anything about parliament.
'Cause
I personally have
utakasirika.
had to really go and do a deep dive and be in parliament for me to know, yani huyu researcher akona this much power. Unaelewa? So
alafu hiyo example ya mugeni na murioki mushindaga nikikuot there's a luo proverb jakuodho oyedhao aliyenyamba amekubali vita it's the same thing like if I go into a building and I film it
yeah
like if the journalist film it if there's nothing wrong then there's nothing wrong the fact that you are
what was
punishing the
fear?
watchman
You're punishing the watchmen
means
for
there's
what
something
they-
you're hiding because otherwise if there's nothing wrong that's been done then there's nothing wrong inafaa kuwa tu unajua nini ile kitu mlifanya ni mbaya cause what if they kulikuwa na this security thing the security lakini wacha tuiachie hapo they came here
But
they
you see
found out
first, hata waliekelewa ati yao ndio waliwafungulia which is not true. It's not true. Then wakaekelewa ati yao ndio hata walienda wakopiana nini. It's not true. All those things are not true. What they needed was they needed to punish someone so that everyone can be terrified
Yes.
of being involved. Which the same thing, they just needed to remove one nominated senator.
ndio wengine watulie
now yeah
Saizi
now
hadi elected
senators-
senators hawaizi inua kichwa. Elected.
'Cause unaweza
Na
shanga-
saizi clerk wa senate anatembea kwa hewa. It has gone down in history. Ebu jaribu kuni out uone venye nitakufanya kama Orwoba.
okay damn
So the message is home. Ndio maana kuna huge silence, voices that would ordinarily speak up about a lot of things.
in a house
Kumenyamaza.
in a house full of speakers
A house full of speakers, actually. Thank you. A house full of speakers. There's
There's
so much
silence.
silence. Silence on matters, silence on things. It's not about just there's a general. In fact, we are just hearing the united opposition voices only.
yes okay but mostly tukimalizia mwambiaga wa Kenya jo endeni huko nje fanya kazi bunge towers might be needing another 6 billion it would come from thin air it may come from your taxpayers money fanya kazi na tax kiongezwa wanasema yes sir sindio
Hapana, watu
Hausi
wachukue
complain.
kura.
Zii, unajua watu wachukua hizi vitu seriously.
wajiregister, wachukue kura, not because it's fancy or trendy,
yes
but because at the right time in 2027,
yeah
that anger that most people have, I personally have so much
Yeah,
anger.
yeah.
That anger, maybe I will exercise it at the ballot
also,
properly.
also if you are also a voter verify if you're still in the system
Yeah, verify also. Verify if you're still in the system. And guys are like, oh, your vote doesn't count, nini. Wacha nikuambie. Hiyo story ya ati kuiba nini. Sisi, our anger, we will exercise it by voting. Me personally, I'll also exercise it by being an agent of making sure ule mtu anafikiria atakuja kutuibia sijui ndo afanye. Mimi yani ni ule agent, niko loyal kwa sababu it's not even about like this is personal.
yes,
the
yes.
people's agent
Mahali imefika. This is personal.
alafu mwambiaga watu there's no more powerful motivational factor than hatred like
yeah you do it with passion
hatred na anger awaga ni very motivational love unaweza
unaona
lala
venye jana Gachagua aliongea. I like something he said you know, I feel very responsible juu mi ndio nilingisha hao mafala hapa. Okay, hakusema mafala but I'm
Yes.
paraphrasing.
Tunaelewa.
Juu mi ndio nilingisha hao watu ndani. So I feel sorry because like when I think about it, it's like tulikuwa tunakoniwa. But he said that's why I must be double on top of this thing to make sure tuwatoe.
Yes.
yake ni pia ni personal. Unajua ni ile level ya nikikaa hivi chini nifikirie venye niliwachungia kura nyinyi, I will make sure
anatokwa na wazi.
Yeah, but you see, that's why also we can't do it alone. People must vote. People must go, and if guys don't go out and vote, let me tell you what's going to happen.
Mtashanga.
Nothing will change.
Yeah.
Munasikia 10 bila break.
Two-term. Yes,
10 bila break
KVB.
itafanyika. Yani mi nakwambia, just if anything, take us to a level where we will make sure that anyone who survives, anyone who's in this administration, if they survive to go to the next administration, let me tell you, the fear that you would have instilled in them will be enough to make sure that they represent the people properly.
Okay, I think hiyo ni tumalizia hapo cha. So imekuwa episode 531. Kama kawaida tukisema like, subscribe, hit the notification button, tell a friend. Tukimalizia tukisema Iko Nini.
Iko Nini.
Iko Nini.